Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing on this beautiful Saturday morning? Getting set up here. Woke up a little bit late. On time crew, yep. We do on time crew West Coast edition. Ooh, I'm sorry about that. That's a little bit early. It's just I respect the grind. I respect you waking up this early. What's up, Greatest Rob? What's up, Mighty Groot? How's everyone doing? YGBSM, how you doing? Diarrhea. Welcome to the channel again. Welcome back. Good to see you. On time every time. We're gonna be on time every time. It is you can do it. People always say you can't win everything. You can't always do it right. Yes, you can. You can win all the time, and being on time is what we're gonna do. What's up, Lewis? How you doing? I was up late last night for no reason. Not for no reason. Me and the fellas, we've been we're pretty average Call of Duty players, but like I said, I'm a very average but very competitive gamer, and we are trying to get good, and we are getting much better. So I was up late playing some Call of Duty, which I need to stop doing, but it's all good, because today we're going to be learning some DevOps and SRE stuffs. We're going to be learning how to build these pipelines. We're going to be talking about CI, CD. What's up, 88 Opus? Good to see you. I didn't even get any coffee today, but no big deal. I do have my Le Croix Karate. I have both of them. I have the Cerise Limon and the Pommes Baya to make it through. I'm gonna start out with the Pommes Baya because I'm pretty sure this is the one that I did not love. So let's go with that. What's up, Mickey? How you doing? In vain. I can't read. Pretty early. It's not that early at all. What's up, Marcello? Welcome. Just pull up real quick. There we go. I got the water, nice and just a little bit of flavor to get our Saturday morning started. But we do have we're gonna start almost immediately because once again, I think I misjudged. I definitely misjudged this one in particular. But I think we'll get through a lot. But I think today we're gonna have to focus on one aspect of the project to do CI/CD with, because I think this is gonna be a relatively big section. Today, we're gonna try to do this using GitHub Actions. We'll talk about tools in a second, but I've only used GitHub Actions once for a very simple thing, and I was not able to get it work. So we're diving into a brand new tool. We'll talk about why we're choosing GitHub Actions to kind of do this, and we'll have some fun. I think today, just go into it knowing we're gonna learn the concepts of CI/CD. We're gonna dive deeper into that. We're gonna, architect out our setup and kind of show what the flow and the pipelines are gonna be. And then we're gonna try to implement it, and hopefully we have enough time to implement it. If not, no big deal. But yeah, we're gonna get as far as we can get today. And I will take, whatever happens today, we might have to make some adjustments to what we do later. But it's all good. So let me get you all these slides because I do think this is gonna take a little bit of time. So I want to get started. What's up, Slime? What's up, Mr. Trousty? How are you doing today? Hold on, let me click on 1 second. Let me make sure my monitors are up so that I know if the stream's dying. I remember the first time my stream ever had network issues, when I went back and saw where it actually died in the recording. I kept speaking for a solid 10 minutes before I realized what was happening. So just want to make sure that doesn't happen. So pull up my performance metrics. I need to set up a way to automatically open these windows so I don't have to do this every single time. But again, I never remember to do it until I need to do it at the time that I need it, which is right now. But no big deal. We got them all. We're looking. Okay. So CI/CD is what we're going to be working on today. Let's get these links out. I will be putting everything from the week up on YouTube today. I think, first off, congratulations. This is week 4. We are you're finishing up the halfway point. Everyone else who's in participating in Horizons and participating in Decoded, we're halfway through. We'll be halfway through with this after today's done. I'll get all the videos up. I think we should be good through last week. I'll get all the videos up from this week. And I'll also get up all the stuff from the not move, the integration to GitHub Classrooms as well. So we are using Google Classrooms, it does have an integration to GitHub Classrooms, which is going to allow us to do some cool stuff, specifically for the decoded class. So that's what I've been working on. And I like every time I got deeper, every time I thought I was almost done, there were more pieces to it, but I'm super close. I'm definitely super close. My monitors in Monday. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I actually have a I'm actually modifying my setup a little bit as things start to open back up. I don't love being in the house, to be honest. Like, I don't mind it, but sometimes I need to get out. So I am gonna keep at least, I have an office right now. I might not keep the office, but I might get a dedicated desk at that place. It's a co-working spot. I might ride in during the day and work, you know, on like some of these things on my laptop, like you know, the other aspects of the business, and, you know, setting up slides and all that stuff, and then come back home to do, you know, all the content and streaming and whatnot. We'll see. So I might be changing up my display flow. I don't really want to spend any money on the monitors right now when I have 3 monitors in front of me, 3 big ones, and I don't really need I don't really need it. It is nice, it's super nice, but I don't really need it. So I might switch up the flow a little bit and maybe take one of these there, and then leave 2 here, but we'll see. We will see. Yeah, new hardware showing up is great. It is excellent. What's up, Dev? How you doing this morning? What's up, CSBNDC? Good to see you. Snowflake, how are you? But yeah, I do have 3 monitors. I have 2 27-inch G-Sync monitors, like gaming monitors, Dell gaming monitors, and I have a Dell 38-inch monitor up top, like 38-inch widescreen, ultra wide or whatever. And it's a good setup. It is a good setup. It's you know, 2 underneath and 1 kind of spanning across the top. It's pretty good. It sucks for gaming because I have to play off axis, and I really dislike playing off axis. So I try to like move myself over, but like it's kind of weird. We'll figure it out. We'll definitely figure it out. Okay, let's get started today. Let me take a sip of the, oh, I hate this. When the ice freezes to the bottom of the cup. Let's shake the deck. Yeah, there it goes. It popped to the top now. Okay, let's present. Let's get ready to go with CI, CD, integrate, deliver, deploy continuously. Okay, so this is the course. This is the topic of the entire thing. This is the pipelines. Everything else kind of supports this. The pipeline is not everything. We call it pipelines just because it's a good representation of what we're trying to solve with these disciplines. But this is the pipeline tonight. This is the core of the pipeline. This isn't the pipeline, but it's the core of the pipeline. What's up, Aya? How you doing? So that is what we are here to learn today. So what is first off, actually, did I remove? Hold on, let me see. Let me make sure. Okay, I want to make sure we're setting up the problem first. Sometimes I forget what I did in the slides and I forget my ordering. So here's the problem. Here are what common dev problems are. We are working on software delivery, automation, and infrastructure. So we're working on the disciplines that help us enable rapid and consistent software delivery. We want to be able to automate those things. We want to be able to automate processes around that, and we want to be able to manage the infrastructure that they're on. And so what are some common dev problems with software delivery? And the most common problem, honestly, is that Dave is on vacation. How do we do this again? So understanding how a process is done when someone's out. You know, we'll get a lot of tribal knowledge in an organization, the way things grow, the way projects kind of take place. And it's a super common development problem. And up until like these disciplines started coming out and the focus on automation started coming out, this is kind of what it was. It was like, hey, does anyone have the run book for this? Does anyone, you know, what does Dave do when he's here? Because he's the one who deploys all this stuff. We don't want that to be an issue anymore. We don't want one person in charge of doing these things. We need that knowledge to exist in a place that's common, in a place, you know, that everyone can get to it, and in a way that does not require, hopefully does not require any interaction that we're unfamiliar with. So sometimes when this happens, you forget to run tests. This causes problems. Documentation can get stale, and processes can be hard to understand. These are the common dev problems. You know, it is easy to, you know, when something breaks, when you need to fix something, when you need to deliver quickly, to just push code and not really run tests. Forget to do that, and it's hard to go back and update documentation. changes that were made and changes that are upcoming, and the way the system has changed. It's a pretty common problem, even with all this automation, even with all of the DevOps workflows and all that stuff. It is it's tough. And actually, I'm not even showing you the one slide that I have up for this. No big deal. And then that process can be hard to understand. If I create a deployment process, a deployment pipeline, a manual one for a software project or for some tool, it is very it can be hard for someone to walk into that process and for me to walk them through it and for them to understand that, because I was doing it within the context of my own mind, the context of what I know, my experience, and so in the context of what the project was at the time, which the project may evolve over time and be something completely different. So these are some big problems in terms of software delivery. Again, and they're not solved. They can be solved by what we're going to learn today, these CI/CD pipelines, but every new tool, every new process introduces another set of challenges. But these are the ones that CI/CD is trying to solve, or does its best to solve. So what do the CIs and all the CDs and all the letters, what do they mean? Let's find out. Starting a junior DevOps role in a few months. Yes. Clap it up. Congratulations. First off, yeah, congratulations. Let us know as you get into it. If you have any questions, reach out to the community, reach out to us. We'll do our best to answer. But let us know. We really want to know how it goes. We really want to know your experience, honestly. I've heard interesting experiences in junior roles, and so to be honest, you're gonna get probably one of two experiences, which is you're gonna go into a place that's has the resources and structure set up to really support you, or you're gonna walk into somewhere that they kind of, you're on paper the junior, and they know that, but they also kind of throw you to the fire and hope that you pick up the skills over time. Both have their merits, 100%. One's more comfortable than the other. But yeah, so good luck. One, congratulations. Two, you're gonna kill it. It's gonna be fun. But we just want to hear about your experience. Maybe you should hop on to when you do, we do some what else, panels at the end of all of the sessions. Hit me up. I would love to have you on one, just kind of talk about that. We definitely want people. You okay? You're good. I thought my wife hurt herself. That was not a bird running into the window. It was not a bird running into the window. Okay, let's see. SR dev job. Yeah. CICT/CD the other day. I don't know what that T is. What's up, Adam? How you doing? Yeah, what is the continuous testing? So see, okay, we're gonna talk about that as well. To me, that's inherent. That continuous testing is kind of inherent into what the CI process is, but everyone thinks about it a little bit differently. But we'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about CI/CD from my interpretation of it, I guess. But what is continuous integration? What's the CI and CI/CD? And yes, we'll talk about why there's a second CD there. But CI, continuous integration. This is how do I know my stuff still works, essentially. This is the best way we can boil it down. And again, it's very simplified, but how do we, that's what this process is. How do we know our stuff still works? So this involves, automatically testing our code, whether that be, and we probably should do some sessions on testing, but whether, usually this is where unit tests happen. This is where the functionality of the code is kind of tested, rather than or it could be included in the overall outcome the code provides. Common vulnerability scanning, so making sure there are no security vulnerabilities or no known security vulnerabilities in your code base, and sending to the developer environment. These are like the common steps. Again, a lot can go into this phase. These are the common steps. It's kind of running tests against the code that your developers wrote, or test engineers, or however your process is. But the tests that are written, the automated tests that are written to ensure the code is functioning how it's supposed to, is automatically run. Automated is the key word there. Common vulnerability scanning. And this is, again, everyone doesn't do this. Other people also include this as a part of testing as well, and running some scans against the code base as well, and sending to a development environment. This is usually what it is, getting it out into a place that is not the developer's computer, but that is in a place where people can interact and see it in a, not always in a production like setting, but in a setting that semi resembles the architecture of the end resting place of it. So this is continuous integration. It is like I said, it's a bit of a loose concept. It's the process of integrating your code into the code base. It's the process of, we talked about Git a little bit in those strategies, and it's what changes are happening, ensuring that things are working as you are adding bits of code to the trunk of that of that repository, the trunk of that code base. So making sure things are still working and doing what you want them to do. Okay, before we get to the other things, let's talk about the pipelines a little bit, what these kind of pipelines are. The screenshots in here are mostly from Circle CI. Not a big deal. The way that these CI tools are kind of set up across the board, they do very similar things, solve very similar problems. But the pipelines that we're going to be creating, the pipelines that people are talking about when they're talking about CI pipelines, and what that is that's one, breaking down processes into chunks is probably the first big piece that comes to mind with this. Is a pipeline, it expands, you want to go from start to finish, and to get there, the best way is to break it down into chunks. And what these chunks do is they allow you to have these gates for feedback. So things like those tests, those automated tests. Now in a pipeline, if you should put your code, start to run it through this pipeline, if it should fail, if those tests should fail, we want to be able to get that information back. One of the tenets of DevOps and SRE work is, getting that tight feedback loop, getting rapid feedback so that you can make adjustments accordingly. And so breaking it down into chunks allows for that. The chunks are reusable, so reuse chunks. We'll talk about that a little bit as well, because that means it's a little bit of a we get a double entendre there with the reuse chunks, not only in terms of reusing them between pipelines, but also reusing the actual existing chunks in the pipelines to make things go faster. So we'll talk about that. And these pipelines also change how you think about the delivery of your code base. And this is kind of a very simple example. And I think this is going to be the type of workflow that we set up today, where it starts here on the left. And you can see these little check marks here where it built, the code built. This is generally once the code was pushed to some type of source control repository. Some tests were run against it. And take a look at that. It looks like they ran in parallel. We're going to talk about that as well. A pipeline, you probably are thinking of a mostly linear workflow. While that is at the core, it's true. The workflow is set up to be relatively linear. There's some interesting things you can do inside of it. You can do pieces in parallel as well, and you can make kind of decisions based off of that, and kind of moving through some environments. But again, we have full control over the steps and the chunks in this pipeline, and we'll be setting that up. This is what I was just talking about. So take a look at this. I think we looked at this before just a bit. But in that linear workflow, let's say that we had 3 different testing phases for our code base. Maybe we have a JavaScript, maybe we have a Node.js application, and maybe it's running some Jest tests, and maybe there's another piece of it that also has some Mocha tests. And let's say the first test that gets set up, we run it through there, we run those Jest tests through the tests here, and it takes around 5 minutes to complete, and it can't move to the next portion of the pipeline until that completes. This is kind of a gate here, and we need a little check mark by this before we can move on, and then maybe we move on to the Mocha test, and maybe we move on to the Mocha test, and great, that goes through, and maybe we have some type of integration test, with an external tool. Maybe we have some Cypress tests, maybe we have some Selenium tests or something, and it goes here and it takes another 5 minutes to complete. This is a 15-minute process for testing, and the average fail time, over time, depending on where it fails, will probably average out to be something like 7.5 minutes before something fails. And when something fails in your pipeline, it stops. it generally should stop the process, give you the feedback, and so that you can take action. So you or whoever can then take action upon what's going on. So that takes a little while. It takes a little bit of time. 7.5 minutes is the average time to fail. It could be up to 15 minutes. But here's what we were talking about a little bit with the reusing some of the chunks. So, you can, in these CI tools, it allows you to basically take those chunks, and this is gonna be similar to Docker a little bit if you're familiar with Docker. Basically, you can kind of cache the layers here. You can cache things that haven't changed, and you can reuse those to make sure that your pipeline moves a lot faster, so that things that took a long time to build the first time, maybe 2 minutes to build the first time, maybe only take 5 seconds to implement afterwards, because of using those cached items. And then you can run some things in parallel. This is not only true for tests, but this is a common workflow here. You run some tests in parallel, and so it goes a little bit faster because you cache some of those dependencies as well, and those tests run all together. And even if A and B fail, we may have to wait for C to finish before we can move on, but we can receive our pass fail. We can receive our failed call in a lot shorter time, in 6 minutes shorter. And again, when you are constantly pushing things through the pipeline, again, this is called continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. These things are happening continuously. The project that I work on now, I mean, we are constantly, there are only a couple devs on the projects, but we're probably pushing 70 commits, 60, 70 commits through the pipeline a day. And so these things, like these build times, are important. They're very important. It takes it's money. It can be a substantial amount of money by just moving from a pipeline like this to a pipeline like this. And again, this right here is this is the practical aspect of delivery pipelines that we're talking about right now. This is not necessarily inherent to CI/CD, but like just to kind of think about the way that you're implementing things. There are some cool ways in these pipelines to do some cool things. Okay, before we move on to the next one, any questions? Again, I know continuous integration is the most vague out of all of them, but again, it really is just the process of integrating changes into your code base. That's really what it is. It's a process of automatically of integrating and testing and ensuring that those changes are okay, or not okay. Even the process of failure is absolutely an important part of the continuous integration process. But again, continuous, it is automatically kind of integrating that code. All right, so continuous delivery. We're gonna try to get through this fast because again, I already know that I struggled with GitHub Actions on a very simple project. Again, granted, I only spent, it was when it first came out, and I spent maybe an hour trying to set it up, and I got really frustrated because I've set up pipelines like that before, and I just felt like it should be working, and I quit. So I want to give us as much time as possible to kind of get through it, but I think you can all help us. I think you're gonna help me probably. Some of you, I'm sure some of you are more familiar with it than I am. You swear you can feel your beard growing? Is it gray? If it's gray, it's perfect. It's common to run those tests as Lambda functions, microservices. Great question. Generally, these tests are run. Okay, one, a lot of these tools use containers to do this. To be honest, a lot of the newer services use containers to do them. Other services spin up entire VMs for this. Lambda functions and microservices, not so much. Lambda functions are generally very difficult to integration test. Excuse me, because their operation is very specific. I mean, I know things like the server application model, like SAM or serverless, give you some ability to do some local mocking of the way kind of those payloads and stuff work, but generally no, they're not Lambda functions, or generally they're not microservices either. Generally, if you're hosting an on-prem like service like Bitbucket, and you're running through Bamboo, I think is what it is. I forgot what that one's called, the Atlassian what it's called, or Jenkins. Again, you have entire it's not, I wouldn't consider that microservices at all. It is spinning up little environments, it's spinning up little runtimes and stuff, but not really microservices, not really lambdas either. And the example that we had, those are 3 completely different tests, or suite of tests. Maybe test A is your unit test, the things that are going to test the functionality of your code. Maybe test B is going to be that the vulnerability testing. Maybe you're running some type of special scan against the code base. And maybe test C is I don't know. Maybe you have something that goes through and ensures that no developer's name is in there, and it strips out all that. I don't know what it would be, but I think some people want to get confused when the focus around CI is around automated testing, but testing itself, like, that's why I think we need to dive into testing a little bit. To it doesn't need to be one of these frameworks. It does not need to be some special thing. It is any kind of tool. It could be just a little script or whatever. Any tool that you're using to become more confident that the code that you implemented is working and will continue to work after it is integrated into the code base. So these could be anything, but these are 3 different types of tests. This example is 3 different types of tests. Can you CI without unit testing? Absolutely, yes. 100% you can CI without unit testing. We are not going to write any unit tests today for what we're going to do. I don't think, because I don't think we're going to have time. But either way, yes, maybe we will. I don't know, we'll see. But 100%, you do not need, you really don't even need, you don't need tests to even have continuous integration. That is the focus of it. You do want to, the goal of this part is to be confident in what you're deploying. The goal is to understand what's happening, the changes to the system. But again, it's absolutely not required at all, especially when you get to things like like system CI. It's notoriously difficult to do infrastructure testing, especially with infrastructure as code. Sure, we can write these unit tests, RSpec tests, things like that, but it's notoriously difficult to do a lot of this testing, because you generally have to deploy this stuff to confirm whether or not things got up. But we'll see how far we get. Your job will be 100% serverless. So I'm a huge fan of serverless. It's not always the answer, but I'm a fan of it. I'm definitely a fan of it. So let's move on to continuous delivery real quick. Continuous delivery is, how do people use my code? And this part can be a little bit confusing. It's very easy to get the terms delivery and deployment mixed up. But generally this process is to trigger the build. So the code is integrated into the code base. The build is triggered. So tests are run against it. Build is triggered. Tests are rerun. And so this trigger build section actually generally happens automatically through your source control provider. They usually have some type of webhook functionality, or your CI tool will reach in and kind of look for changes and watch for changes. And a build will be triggered. Test will be running against the code base again, and then it'll build the application artifacts. So what is this? This is taking the code that we built and getting it into a state that is deliverable, getting it into a method of delivery. So again, this could be just some type of zip file. Maybe you just packaging up some files, or maybe it's a Docker image. Maybe it's it's a container. Maybe it's it could even be, a VM image or something. But it's building artifacts, whatever needs to come out of the building of that code. And again, every single thing does not have if you have an HTML, CSS website, maybe there's not a packaged up thing. Maybe the artifacts are just the HTML, CSS code themselves. So we'll get there, but usually there's going to be some type of artifact that comes out of this that you need to move around. And you take those artifacts and you put them somewhere. So again, even if it is just the files, you put them somewhere and you walk away. That is continuous delivery. It is it's taking the code, running it through the CI process, automatically testing it, running it through the build process in the event that the tests pass, getting it into a state. I need to do my timesheet. Getting it into a state that creating the artifacts that need to be created out of the code base, and delivering those things to a place, whether that be to a container repository, whether it be to some storage drive somewhere, whether it be downloaded to your computer or something. Put them somewhere and walk away. That is the delivery. The delivery is taking the code, getting it into a state that could be deployable, and putting it somewhere and getting that information, getting those files somewhere. That's delivery. That's where delivery stops. A lot of people include deployment in their terminology when they talk about CI and CD, but that is what delivery it is. It's just getting it to a state that it can run. It is not necessarily important that it is out into production or anywhere that people can access it. You didn't use the voice effects for intro, but yeah, I did. I thought I did. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I didn't have it turned up enough. I did a little bit. I didn't have the echo up that much, but not just for the quick CI CD, or maybe it didn't turn on right, or maybe I didn't hit the button hard enough. I thought I did. I thought that I did. So continuous delivery. How do people use my code? Did that work? I think that worked. Why is that? Okay, cool. So delivery is not getting it deployed to, it's not getting to a deployed product. Correct. Correct. Delivery is not. Delivery is getting the code in a form where it's ready to be deployed. It's getting it into a state where it's ready to be deployed. But like I said, I don't want to confuse you. I'm splitting them up so because they are split concepts, but a lot of times people are talking about these. They combine delivery and deployment. And so we'll talk about deployment really quick as well. And this is the process of figuring out how do I update my site again. And this is the extra step in continuous delivery. It's to actually deploy the artifacts. Delivering is building those artifacts. Deployment is actually deploying those artifacts out to where they need to go. And generally when people are talking about this, it is the process of automating that deployment process. And what it does is it helps you to stop being afraid to update code, to fix bugs, and to try new things. Continuous deployment is not always possible. I want to make that clear. It's not always possible for a number of reasons, but it's not always possible. But this is generally the holy grail. This is the goal of what you kind of want to do. What you kind of want to get to, and what the holy grail of our processes are, of the DevOps, the SRE processes, is getting to this point where we can automatically integrate code, automatically test code, automatically build code, automatically deliver the code, to get it into a deployable state, and automatically deploying the code out to where it needs to go. But during that process, again, with the tests, with the automation, giving us confidence that things are going to work in the way that we think they're going to work, that there's not going to be any changes between environments and things like that. So that is, I think, everything. Did you need CD twice? No. It seems redundant to have CD twice. No, I just think it's a good practice to understand that continuous delivery does not mean deployment. It doesn't mean deployment. It is okay to not get to that place. But the goal really is to get to a point where you are being able to deliver that code in a deployable state. If that deployment needs to happen manually, that's fine as well. But yeah, that's the goal. It's not really. Continuous delivery sounds scary. Build trust first and keep improving. This is I think most people's problem is they think they have to go and do the whole pipeline all at once. They think they have to go and get this, take this old process and have the whole pipeline ready before we're good. No. Start adding pieces. You can start adding pieces. Start building trust in the pieces. Start becoming confident in the pieces. Start to see that your tests are showing you problems before you get to them. Start seeing that, hey, when we automatically do build and deploy out to these environments, that again, it's more consistent. We're not making as many manual errors. Build trust and keep improving. The pipeline will need to be improved constantly over time. Most likely, if the project is changing, the pipeline will need to be changing as well. And then the last thing really quick is just the tools and vendors. These are just some of the more common ones. GitHub Actions is what we are going to be using today, or trying to use today. I've never used GitHub Actions, so for anything real. I've only used it for about an hour total, and I failed to get it working. So it's gonna be fun. The reason we're using GitHub Actions is because, one, I think it's the most accessible, and to kind of keep it right in house with the GitHub account that you likely already have. It's the newcomer to this list though. It probably has the least amount of features, and probably has the least amount of documentation because it's been out the least amount of time. But we're gonna be trying that out. Jenkins, these are the ones you need to know about for sure. Jenkins, this is the granddaddy of CI tools. This is kind of what started it all, to be honest. Yeah, Jenkins is great. It does literally everything. Can be tough to use sometimes, depending on your setup. I know they've made changes to it in recent years, but it is a great product. It is a bit overkill for a lot. And again, maybe it's there now. I haven't used it in a while, but it was a bit outdated for today's technology at the time. It could do it, but the ease in which you could do it was a little bit tough. So maybe it's changed. Then there's Circle CI. Circle CI is like the rapid up and comer. It's gotten pretty large actually over the years, and it's fairly new as well. Great CI tool. I really do like Circle a lot. You'll see me wearing their shirts a lot just because they attend all the DevOps Days conferences. They support the community a ton. But Circle's pretty dope. If you do anything with open source software, I'm sure you've seen or probably used Travis CI already. And Travis, is also, it's like Circle. A lot of people use them for open source projects because I think they were the first to offer like such a comprehensive free tier. But I think they all do now. Then there's AWS CodeStar. So it's not called CodeStar. I think the Code Deploy is the one that's most like the rest of these, but AWS has their own pipeline for code. So they have a source code repository, so like a GitHub replacement. They have Code Deploy. They've got all the things as well. But to be honest with you, not really a CodeStar is that code pipelines. It's the whole thing. It's their suite of products that allow you to deliver code from start to finish, and it's good. I mean, it's okay. Azure Pipelines. So Azure has one as well. Azure Pipelines, I actually think, is a little bit better than CodeStar. So it's called CodeStar because all of the products within that delivery category start with code something. It's like Code Deploy, it's code something. So CodeStar is like a little, a regex, and that's why they call it CodeStar, like code match all or whatever. But Azure Pipelines is good as well. If you're in Azure, they allow for a few other things, especially if you're doing things with inside of Microsoft products, like SharePoint and stuff like that. Azure Pipelines is amazing for things like that. But again, most companies nowadays, you're probably going to run into there are more that are not on this list. There are a lot more that are not on this list that you'll be using, but they all kind of follow the same paradigms. Like they really do. They implement them a little bit differently, but they all follow pretty much the same things. So once you kind of start to understand one, you understand at least how they work. And again, like I said, the implementation can be pretty different on some of them, but yeah. And am I too late to join the Horizons class? Absolutely not. Never too late. And again, they're all on all of the previous courses of them are on YouTube, so you can catch up if you need to, but you are not too late. Yeah, Jenkins is, like I said, it's not easy to use, but it does the most, or can be extended to do the most at all these. Like I said, it's the cornerstone of the CI/CD market. But I don't recommend to learn it first, but a lot of you will run into Jenkins throughout your career. Like you will run into it, guaranteed. And the bigger reason I don't like Jenkins because I usually had to manage the actual Jenkins servers themselves, the actual build servers. And again, the JVM it runs in Java. It's a Java application, and the JVM can be tough to deal with. I'm just not a fan of managing anything that runs in the JVM. So that is just my years of struggle, being on the struggle bus. And they're interchangeable. Like the project that I'm on now started almost 4 years ago, and we started out with Jenkins first. Hopped right out of the gate with Jenkins because that's what people were most familiar with. got up and running with that. Switched to Travis. Travis was dope, pretty cool, a lot easier to set up than this. So you'll see how easy GitHub Actions is to set up, because it's more like these two than it is like Jenkins. Then we had to get off of Travis because Travis is not headquartered in the US, and I do work for a government organization. So we moved over to Circle, and Circle is amazing. Like, Circle is really good. It's a really good product, to be honest. But we're going to use GitHub Actions today because it's going to be fun to learn something new, and it's going to be the I actually genuinely I really like what Microsoft is doing. So I probably should have put GitLab on here, and I actually feel bad for not putting them on here. We talked about GitLab a little bit, but GitHub is basically becoming what GitLab already is. But they have the added benefit of being able to use VS Code inside of it, GitHub at least. But GitLab can be on here as well. They have a full, they're full source code repository, full CI DevOps pipelines. They have it all as well. GitLab it's a good product. GitLab is a good product. If you're someone who hates Microsoft, you don't really want to deal with GitHub, I highly recommend you signing up for GitLab. Again, I say it's a complete DevOps platform. And yeah, it's just because they give you all the tools that you need to be able to get stuff from the developer's computer out into production, or wherever it needs to be. So what are we going to do today? And like I said, there are many more of them. I have a number of things set up in GitLab. But yeah, just more people are familiar with GitHub, so that's what we use here. So what are we going to do? Let's hop into really quick. Let's go to GitHub real quick and talk about what we're going to try to achieve today. And I made a few little things and project up here, but what we're going to do for time's sake is we are going to try to set up a CI pipeline for the blog site. And the reason we're gonna try to set up for the blog site is because out of all the products that we have, that's gonna be the easiest for us to change, and that's probably gonna be the one that changes the most. Now, to put everyone back into the context, let's get our minds back to where we are. We are at a pretty new startup that's killing it right now, making tons of money, got a lot of funding, things are going great. But again, the everything was set up by the owner of the company, who was a great dev, not necessarily amazing with infrastructure. Nothing's repeatable, nothing was reusable, and we have been brought in to help manage that. We have new developers coming into the project, just like pure software devs coming into the project. We need to support them. We need to get them set up to a state where they can, be able to push code. They need to we need to help them not have to worry about all the other stuff. That is our customer as DevOps, as SRE. The developers really are our customer, and our goal is to make it as easy as possible for them. Right now, the company's saying, hey, the app's running fine, all the internal things are running fine. Right now, we need to make blog updates almost daily, and so we need to be able to push those things out. We need to be able to push changes to the blog, to the look, the feel, all that stuff. So one, we do have a domain now. We have a domain, which is pipelines.academy. That was available, so we purchased that. There's nothing here right now, but I'll paste this here. We do have a domain to work with. So what we're going to do though today is we are going to take our Gatsby site. Remember, it was a Gatsby static site. We built it last time. We have it on a server set up behind Nginx. We are going to move that for cost reasons. We're going to move that into an S3 bucket. Not super important that you part of this course is to talk about infrastructure, to understand infrastructure. What we're going to do today is we're going to move that to S3 bucket. We're going to statically host the static site out of the S3 bucket. But the problem with Gatsby is it's not a static website. The Gatsby site is not a static site. Gatsby generates a static site for us. So it is a framework, it's a Node.js framework that will generate a static site for us. So to be able to push a site, it has to go through a build process actually. So we're going to set up that pipeline of building our Gatsby blog and stick it into an S3 bucket. So the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to get some S3 buckets set up. We're going to get 2 environments. And actually, let me show you what the flow is going to be real quick. Does this show? No signal. There we go. Pops up. This is what the flow is going to be. The flow is going to be that our new developers, new devs. This is the dev's body with their head and they're smiling, and this is their laptop. This is the world over here. This is America and South America and Canada, and all that, this is the world right here. And they're the ones consuming our content. So we need to get code from right here to where the devs are, over on the left. We need to get it all the way over to the people. And so the way that we're going to do this is we're going to set up a pipeline that looks like this. The devs are going to push code up to GitHub, and I drew a little arrow up because, you know, people always say push up. Sure, that looks more like Africa than anything else that I drew. So yes, it is Africa. And let me actually move it so that I didn't realize that there we go. A little bit that's not better. Let's center that. There we go. Okay, so to the world. So push the code up to GitHub. And so GitHub was going to catch that. And then GitHub is going to GitHub Actions is going to be our CI/CD pipeline, our CI/CD tool. So our CI/CD tool is going to grab that. So then to our CI tool, and then it's going to go. And so all the things that are going to happen here are like tests and building and the build. And then after that happens, after the build, it's going to go to a development environment. So it's actually going to go not to prod. It's going to go to the dev environment. And so what is a dev environment? A dev environment is usually where it's not a production place, but it's usually some type of internal place that has that's, you know, hosted over the internet, so we can see how the site and things interact, so people can see it for demoing purposes, things like that, so we can test kind of changes and things in one place. And then we use GitHub to basically or use our Git flow, our Git workflow to basically you know, test it here and say, hey, it looks good in the developer environment. And then we can go through and we can, it basically loops back through here really, but then we go back to our CI pipeline and it does all the tests. It does the build and it does all that, it delivers, and then it goes from there and it goes to prod. So we're gonna have two basically setups for this. We're gonna have two servers per se where it lives, and then the world gets the information from prod. Prod is for production. It's short for production. This is commonly the flow. The flow commonly is like, you might see something like go to dev environment first, then go to maybe a staging environment, and then go to prod. But it's a method of ascension. It's a method of escalation of code. Why do you have this many points? Because we don't want to write code, you know, our test pass, and then we push that code straight to prod, because again, you were developing in a state that didn't really exist as things do in prod, and you don't really have full confidence there. So you kind of need to push it through a few different gates to be vetted, you know, so that it can be ready for prime time. And even with all that, you know, problems still happen, but you need to have a few different steps. So that's going to be our pipeline right there. It's going to go, code's going to get pushed to GitHub. Our CI tool is going to pick that up. It's going to test and build. It's going to push that code out to a dev environment. We're going to look at it in our dev environment, make sure everything's good, make sure it got there, make sure our changes can be seen. And then when we say, hey, those are good to go, we will start the process back up, and the code, the CI tool will take that code, again, build and test it again and integrate it with the master, you know, of the code base or whatever, however we set that up, and push it out to production. And we can see that, go when we're ready. Focus too much on delivery and less on quality, so it's kind of scary. Yes. So there's always a trade-off between your risk tolerance and speed. The faster you deliver, the faster you deliver code that they want you to deliver code, the less you're going to be able to focus on quality. And so I think there's a nice middle ground. I'm someone who is, if we can get the process to be fast, if we can get the updating process to be fast, if we can get these pipelines in place that make it very quick for us to resolve problems, I'm willing to take on more risk to deliver faster, because if things do break, we have a chance. We can lean on what we've done and we can get fixes out faster. But I think it depends on how long your pipeline takes. Focusing too much on quality can really hinder the development time, because there's always something else that you're unsure about. There's always some type of test case that you didn't think about. There's always a way that someone's going to use your application that you just weren't thinking about at all. And so it can be pretty tough. Yeah, thank you so much for the gifted sub / VIP. Also, everyone, AO won one of the Google Homes, as did MG. I don't think MG is on today, but appreciate that. You get VIP. Let's see. There we go. You've been added as a VIP. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you so much for participating. It's dope. Super dope. I appreciate you. Happens a lot, especially in agile environments. But these pipelines definitely help reduce issues. Yeah. And again, these are all tools, and I think that was the hardest thing for me to understand when I first started diving into this stuff. When I started going from like a true sysadmin role to like picking up these things, it was like, well, like everyone always tells you like this is supposed to fix everything, and that is not true. It does not fix everything. Oh man, I am it's never gonna work. Wrong screen. Thank you, Hugo, appreciate it. What playlist is this? This is someone else's playlist, not someone else's, they're all someone else's playlist, but this is Stream Beats. Let me share this. I found a dude on YouTube who like teaches people how to do Twitch stuff, so I started look, I promise you, I know I'm not the best Twitcher. You guys keep telling me to do stuff and I'm like, what are you talking about? But I found a guy who like teaches you different stuff about Twitch, and he has this whole like royalty free playlist that I think he does this like, or he pays people to make this list. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. Glad I found it. What about design gaps? Can you talk about it a bit? These are the questions that I love. Absolutely. Can you talk about it a bit? By the way, hello, first time visiting the stream. Absolutely. What's up, Crucial? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel. Design gaps. This is I'm passionate about this. I'm passionate about this because this is the first time. This job that I've had is the first time where I've been a part of the full process from the beginning. And I think if you're doing like SRE stuff, you probably won't be a part of this process, but in DevOps roles, you might be. And again, might be, because again, everyone operates in the role a little bit differently. Design gaps are tough. Design gaps can be really tough. And so this is why everything kind of goes hand in hand from the beginning. We talked about the software development lifecycle last Saturday, and the design, it's tough because it doesn't always take into account some of the technical implications, and vice versa. When you try to design one without the other, it's pretty tough. How do you handle design gaps? The only real way to handle design gaps is to as soon as they're noticed, as soon as you discover it, everything's kind of gotta stop, and a conversation needs to be had. And the negotiation needs to start to happen as soon as you discover it, usually. So this is less of a problem if you are internal. Like if the team is internal, if your software team, like we are on this imaginary project, we are building a product for our own company. So these are a little bit easier to deal with in this space. If you are someone like me who's a contractor, this can be tough because now you've got to go back to the product owners and to the people, the stakeholders, and say, hey, this is something that was missed. This is going to affect delivery time. This is going to affect delivery quality because this is something that was missed. And you need to do some analysis first to see, one, what the impact of missing that was, as well as what the path forward is. Because maybe it was missed because it's not necessary, or maybe there's because of where you are, there's a easier stopgap solution to kind of make things work, to kind of bridge those gaps, and then you want to iterate later. So that's the great thing about DevOps, is that the goal is to iterate, is to be able to move, and when we need to update, we can iterate and make it better. And so maybe the trade-off is we can get this done still in a reasonable amount of time, but with this stopgap, which was not, it's gonna remove these pieces of functionality that we thought we might have had on V1, but we don't. It can be really tough though. Trying to identify like design implications early on is super important. I advise people to check out the process of doing like a design sprint. It's really cool. It's a really cool process to be a part of, especially as someone who doesn't consider themselves a designer. You'd be surprised at how much input you could provide, and how much it really helps to have the engineers as a part of that process. But yeah, the only thing you can do really when you discover those design gaps is to, again, analyze what problems that gap creates, and start the negotiation of figuring out features versus time, and what makes sense for your company. It can be super tough. Get yourself an Elgato Stream Deck. Oh, I have a Stream Deck. The Stream Deck is sitting right in front of me. That is how I'm changing them. I just don't remember to change it. The problem is really because I don't have the thing that's monitoring me right in front of me. Like I said, I actually have too much in front of me. I think that's the problem as well. There's a lot of inputs. In front of me right now. I'm gonna take a picture of it. Actually, where's my phone? I'm gonna take a picture of it really quick so you guys, so you can see my setup. Let's take this. I'm gonna back this up a little bit. There's a lot of stuff. It's a lot over here. Let me see. Does Windows have a password keychain like iOS? It does not have a password keychain like iOS. Okay, this is everything that's in front of me right now. You can't even see everything, but just about everything. It's my keyboard, and it's my monitors, and my mouse, and my Stream Deck here, and my Go XLR. I don't know how to use it. I got the stuff, but I don't know what I'm doing yet. Okay, I'm learning. The mouse is amazing. The mouse is my favorite piece of the whole thing. I custom built this keyboard. The cable is really cool. Check out that keyboard cable. I spent way too much on that cable, but if I was building my first keyboard, so I wanted the cool cable. The mouse is my favorite. It is a glorious PC gaming race Model D. I have a Model O. If anyone wants to buy a cheap Model O, it's perfect, in perfect condition. I'll give it to you for like $15-20, like no problem. But it's just the Model D is a little bit it fits my hand because I have larger hands. But yeah, this setup has been built over a long time. Built over a really long time. But the mouse is great. I really do like the mouse, and it was cheap. How are you finding the small keyboard? I love it. The problem is that like I don't want to use a bigger keyboard now. I love the 60%. It is helping me type faster, but I just haven't been practicing. I find that, so the numpad is a bit of a problem. The numpad was the one place that I could touch type as fast as I wanted to, but I now can't, but it's fine. I really do like it. And I really like this layout. The layout's a little bit different, so it's pretty interesting. But yeah, that's my setup now. It's grown over time, but I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna take one of the monitors into the office and maybe have the widescreen in the middle, and then turn one of them sideways on the left for chat. The mouse is at let's see. They just did a drop, I think. Glorious. If you have a Micro Center by you, the Micro Center by me has a ton of these in. Glorious PC gaming race. This I guess you can order straight from them, but they come in different colors. Like I said, I have this one. If anyone's interested, I have this matte white one, and it was great. It was excellent. I thought it was the perfect mouse until the Model D came out, and it fits my hand just better. And so they're reasonable gaming mice. It's very light. It is very jarring. Like if you're using like a wireless mouse with batteries in it or something, and you go to this, you're gonna be like, oh man! Like every time I use my like laptop, and I have my Logitech mouse, it feels so heavy. Like it feels so heavy. Slimy Issue, yeah. Hit me up. I'll hit you up in whisper. I'll hit you up in a whisper. But yeah, 100% dibs. Let me know. I'm not in a, you know, I'll hold it for however long you need, but whatever. It's just here. Again, it's perfect. I got the box and everything. I used it for like a month, and then I saw this. And I was like, I shouldn't spend this money, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and it worked out for the best. Okay, let's get moving because we have I have 2 hours. I think we'll be fine. We just have a lot to do. We have more than just setting up the pipeline, and so this is gonna be exciting because again, this of course is about architecture. You'll learn a little bit about the cloud too. If you're not familiar with Amazon, you'll learn a little bit of cool stuff about Amazon as well in the process. But yeah, let's pull up our sleeves, even though the sleeve is coming up pretty difficult, so we can get ready. Might need to cut on the fan. It's a little bit warm in here. But let's do it. So I have a couple of things here. We need to, one, we're gonna be using GitHub Actions. We need to go look at that. But the first thing I want to do is I want to set up these buckets first. And so I have here move Gatsby blog to S3 static hosting dev, and I also have one for prod. So what I want to do really quick is not only do I want to move one to a bucket, I want to also start to set up like the DNS records and stuff. So we're gonna do a lot here, and we're gonna talk through it. And this is kind of the process of a simple website. Even if we were putting this on a web server, the setup would be very similar. And I think you know, seeing the entire process is pretty important. It can be done really quickly as well. So let's hop into AWS and let's decide on a few things. Where's my phone? And feel free to, as we're running through things, if there are some design choices, some architectural choices in here that you think, that you feel like is something we should try, throw it out there. We may not for time. Again, the goal here is to get it done in the time, like we said in the very beginning of the course, that like we're not going to be making perfect architectural choices. Like I'm probably not going to put this behind right now, at least I'm probably not going to put this behind like CloudFront, just because for time's sake, and just because I think that might be something that's cool to teach elsewhere when we got to get to the infrastructure as code section or something. But throw them out there, throw them out, different ways you've done things, different ways you would do things, and we could talk about them. I think that's going to be the fun of this course, is talking about those things. So one, if you don't have the repo, you can download the repo if you want to just kind of mess around, because you can build the site as well. And in this repo, there is a startup blog section. And I think what we're going to do also, I think we should start a different repo for this, to be honest. I think that we should start the process of kind of splitting out what we have here. Which is better, AWS or Azure? It depends on what you're doing. AWS is a little more mature. It has, it has more services, but Azure, if you're doing things with Microsoft, it has some better stuff there. It also has arguably a better flow and kind of a easier understanding because of the names of the services, because the UI and UX might be easier to understand. There are probably more jobs in AWS, but you can probably demand a little more in an Azure job, just because the amount of people who are experts in Azure, they're harder to find, to be honest. So the trade-offs. There's no better here, to be honest. Convert mono. Yeah, let's start this now. Actually, let's split up this mono repo a little bit. Even though we're doing the CI/CD, let's split this up a little bit to make it a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and split this up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our startup blog and we're gonna move it into its own repository. So, and we'll give it a name. I like to give my projects code names because it's more fun. Are there any real jobs to do perfect stuff? I feel like it's always to make it work. Yeah, the goal in the beginning is always to like do it right and make it work. And but as things move along, as demands, as requirements need to be met, yes, they all end up becoming make it work positions. And again, some places, usually if you have a job internally, like usually if you're building a product internal for the company, usually there's some more flexibility on doing it right, to be honest. But there's also a push for speed and to make it work quickly, because usually that is going to make money for the company. So it's always a tough trade-off. Okay, we are going to move documents. Let's head over into our actually, we don't even have this here, so that's fine. This works perfectly. So I'm going to make a directory here. What do we call it? Pipelines. I'm gonna make a directory for us. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clone this really quick. Oh no, my typing is not amazing today. I was hoping it would be phenomenal. The goal, I'm trying to become a better touch typist. I'm much worse at typing on, I don't know why I'm so bad. You guys can even see my hands, but the pressure of typing on stream makes me even worse than I already am. But the reason I built this keyboard was for the goal of becoming a better typist. You know, my words per minute of touch typing without looking is up about 11 words per minute since I built this. I built this keyboard in December. And I really did practice typing from like December to like February, and then a bunch of stuff started happening, and I haven't practiced since then. But I'm still around, you know, I'm still around 42 to 43 words per minute. When I'm not looking, when I do like type racer or something like that, I can type like 85 words per minute if I'm looking at the keyboard. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not the worst typist in the world, but I'm getting better slowly. I'm trying to get up to, I would really like to be around the 60 words per minute touch type of speed. But yeah, you know, and it's weird because I guess it's performance anxiety, but like I'm not feeling any anxiety. I just, when I'm on stream, I'm just super trash at typing, like way worse. But so I guess it is performance anxiety, but no big deal. I really don't care. But I just cloned this repo. It has these things here. I'm gonna split these out, and the way that I'm gonna split it out is I'm just gonna go back a directory really quick. And I'm gonna, yeah, I'm not gonna copy, I'm gonna copy that folder out of Pipelines Journeyman, and I'm gonna copy it to right here, Journeyman/startup blog. I'm gonna copy that here. So that folder's here. I'm gonna rename it. What are we gonna call our blog? What is a good name? What's a good code name for a Gatsby blog site for a startup company? Let's see. Cool code names. I don't know why I typed in. Why they just give me all the Ubuntu ones? Cool code names. Let's Shockwave Innovations. What's up, DFlux? How you doing? No errors are more important than speed. That is true. When I type slowly, I am pretty good at being accurate. I bought Typing of the Dead, and I've been playing that to get better as well, because it's a fun way to kind of do it as well. But companies are usually about business, speed to get things out, so make it work is super common. Software development company. It's very true. But the companies are going to start to understand how much the make it work mindset is really like it's losing the money a lot of times, but you know, it is what it is. Having a surreal weekend, dang. Is that a good or is that good or bad? Surreal can, you know, it can be both. Run department, my boss just got fired on Friday, and I might be being fired on Monday. So I was like, let's learn something. That's dope. That's a good mindset. One, I'm very sorry to hear that. Like super duper sorry to hear that. Hopefully that's not the case. Yeah, hopefully that's not the case. Let us know. But it could also be new beginnings. Again, not a good way at all. But let us know. Let us know. I think you know, I think right now is an interesting time because there are a surprising amount of people are supporting right now. It's really interesting. At least what I'm seeing on Twitter, social media stuff. Like people are helping each other out. So let us know what happens, and we'll see if we can support you. What kind of name you want to go for? I don't know. Whatever works. We can name them after we can name all of our apps after zodiac signs. That's fine. Let's do that. It's boring, but we'll call this unless someone has one for me right now, we'll call this nah, it's weak. I like constellations a little better, but it's gonna be hard for me to remember that. I want, types of snakes. I like types of snakes. I like it. Let's call it, let's call this one Cobra. And the reason we're gonna call it Cobra is because the blog is the thing that you see, and cobras, they like to scare you off with their hood, and they like to be seen, and they like to be showy and be this big out front thing when they're trying to protect themselves. So let's do that. This is going to be called Cobra. So let's move startup blog to Cobra, the best name. All right, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cd into Cobra, and I don't think this is already a GitHub repository, so I'm gonna make it one in it. And let's go ahead and create Cobra. You have to say it like that every single time. Cobra. Oh, it's just snake. Cobra is snake in Portuguese. I didn't know that, but now I do. Now I speak Portuguese, and I'm putting that on my resume as knowing 3 languages, because I know how to say biblioteca in Spanish. And now I'm multilingual, and I'll get hired everywhere. That's how it works. It's called embellishment. It's not lying. I do know 3 languages. Library of Portuguese too. I'm a man. See, efficiency. You learn, if you can learn one thing and then it feels too, we're not saying kill 2 birds with 1 stone anymore. I'm okay with that. I think PETA made us stop saying that. It's feed 2 birds from 1 hand, I think is what it's supposed to be. And that's what we just did by learning the word biblioteca and Cobra. Okay, so let's create a repo real fast. Mastermind IO. Where's my repo button? New repository. Let's call this Cobra. This is the pipelines.academy website. It's a public repo, and we don't need to read me right now. And I will push this up. And add everything. Moved from mono repo to this. Terrible commit message. What's up, Ricker P? Welcome to the channel. Or is it Rick? Is it Ricky RP? Is it Rick Erp? Or is it Ricker P? Or is it Rick Erp? It could be any of those. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Michael C or Mike Lessie. Welcome. What's up, Crucial Ori? How's everyone doing today? Oh man, we know Russian. I'm serious. I'm embellishing this on my I'm gonna put a star. I'm gonna say proficient in multilingual. I'm just gonna put multilingual with a little asterisk at the top, and then I'm gonna put it in white so that you have to like highlight it to see it, and it'll say I know a few words in lots of languages, and it won't be a lie. It's okay. They just didn't do their due diligence. That's not it. Why don't I have this set up at all? I should have this set up. Mastermind IO is what I want. Password. I hate this. I'm so used to key pair auth, which I should set up. Okay. So now we have our own repo that we can start working out of. And what we'll do first is, yeah, let's set up the place it's gonna live. So this is gonna live, a polyglot. Cool, I'm in. I don't know, is that a new word? Did I learn that on stream? Let's see. I know poly means many. Oh, perfect. First off, let's put this on what I learned on stream this week. Polyglot. I've heard this term before. I never knew what it meant. So that's good when this opens up, if it ever opens up. Man, this VM is real. For how many resources this VM has, it is really slow. Okay, we're not waiting that long. I'll just open up on my main computer. All right. Poly things I learned this week is also something we learned this week. Everyone here who is proficient at all the programming and knows the and or operator. So if you want to do two things, if you want to say if I is greater than 10, and you want to say or, I is, I don't know, less than 5 or 4 or something. I don't know. If you want this or operator, we've now coined this as I was like, what do we need a name for this thing? And I was like, I don't know if it has a name, and someone told me this is not the name, but this is what we're calling it now, and I need your help in making sure everyone knows that this pipe is called a turbo pipe. Thank you, Toast Zergling. This is called a turbo pipe, and we are going to, I'm telling you, there's going to be a point in 5 years when everyone is calling this turbo pipe. When they say, all right, everyone, we're going to be learning how to do the or operator here, and the way that you do that is you type turbo pipe, which is 2 pipes. So we we're famous now, and we will make this happen. We'll add it as a part of the English language called turbo pipe. So polyglot. And then I learned that for bash variables this week, I learned that you can use declare to set the type, because they'll kind of like, it'll do a little bit of interpretation, but they kind of just get set as strings. But someone can go and learn. I learned that from RWX Rob, actually. I never used declare before in there. I use pipe all the time at work. Turbo pipe, it is real. I've never heard of it. It's real now. It is not called a turbo pipe, but we are calling 2 pipes next to each other. A pipe is this character. 2 of them together is in fact going to be a turbo pipe now, and everyone will know. We'll make it so worldwide. All right, so did we push this up to our repo? Feel free to grab it if you want to grab it. It's here. All right, let's set up these S3 buckets real fast. Fast. So an S3 bucket is an object storage service in Amazon. It has the ability though to host static websites as well, really easily. It's very cheap, super cheap, it's highly scalable, highly performant. So it's a way for you to host a static website without you having to have a web server and a server at all, to be honest. So we're going to be using that. It is what my site is hosted out of. I have a number of things hosted out of here, but we're going to create a bucket for this. We are going to create one called, we want to set up right now, the ticket that we're doing, the story that we're doing is to move it to static hosting for dev. So we're going to set up a bucket for dev, and I'm going to call this dev.pipelines.academy. Now you're able to do the same exact thing. You just have to give it a different bucket name. Please don't steal my bucket before I get it in place. I'm just gonna create it before someone steals it. Bucket namespaces are universal. So, because it uses DNS. So none of you will be able to get dev.pipelines.academy, and because you're probably gonna steal pipelines.academy, I'll take that as well. But again, it's fine, even if it doesn't really matter. Pipelines.academy. Previous. Okay, 2 buckets here. There we go. they take them in buckets. Okay, so you know what? Dev.pipelines.academy. That's fine. That's completely fine. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We have a bucket here, and the way that you set up static website hosting on this is to simply in the properties section, there's a static website hosting section here, and I'm gonna say use this bucket to host a website. It asks for the index, so websites need an index file, so it's gonna be looking for index.html. I actually don't know if that's the file it's gonna be looking for. Let's find out. I'm not a huge Gatsby user, but let's see. Okay, I probably need to build this first. How do you build Gatsby build? npm install gats. How do you install Gatsby? Where did we set this up before? I don't remember. Oh, we set it up on the server. Okay. Install Gatsby JS real quick. I'm gonna do, and so maybe we'll add this into the README as something that you need to do. And again, this is not important to necessarily going through this is not what I want you to do. I want us to kind of go through the process together of what it looks like to set up a site and set up 2 different environments for it to live in, and then set up the workflow of how it moves from the developer's computer to dev, and from dev to production. And that's what we're focused on today. And I want you to be able to see a pipeline get created, and I want you to see I want you to kind of experience it. How much does a single page site on AWS costs in like a month? Great question. If it's static and you're using S3, the S3 bucket is free. What you do pay for is storage. It's like 2 cents per gig no, it's not even that much. We can look at pricing in a second. And then you pay for traffic throughput. I get a couple of thousand hits per month on my website. And I have a number of S3 buckets in here. I also have an S3 bucket that's hosting that has like gigs of backup files in it, like a lot of files in it, and I pay about 20 cents per month in S3 fees. So probably like a cent or two. Like a single page, probably like a penny, to be honest. Like a couple cents per month. So it's kind of nice. But people make the argument things like Netlify are completely free, so like I get it. I don't necessarily think it's the best. I'm just super comfortable with AWS, and it gives me some flexibility to grow and to move into other services that I need. But yes, Glacier is cheaper, slower retrieve. You cannot if your item is in I don't think you can static host any objects that are in the Glacier tier. I don't think. Maybe you can. That'd be interesting. So we have turbo pipe and pipelines. What's going to be turbo pipe Kubernetes basically. Yeah, probably that's probably the most turbo of all the pipelines. All right, so Gatsby build, I really don't know. So Gatsby is a static site generator. I have to npm install first. And what that does is it basically what static site generation is it will pre-compile kind of the different pages and things of your site, so that the client doesn't have to do the processing. The client being usually the requesting computer. So probably your computer, when it makes requests to things like Facebook. Facebook can seem slow to you sometimes. In Facebook, I'm actually really interested to know a little more about how Facebook is built, not necessarily because I care about Facebook at all, but I'm pretty impressed because there's a lot of dynamic things being done. There's a lot of requests being made by your browser. There's a lot of things that like your computer is having to do to serve that page. So server-side rendering or static site rendering is taking that and pre-processing it. So the server does it first, and then it generates static files for you, mostly, and you use those static files to kind of host your website. So it becomes pretty simple. It becomes a really nice, easy site to host. Will we still be using distributed systems to have the front end of the server, the back end of another? Yes, but not for the blog does not have a front end and back end. It mostly just has a front end, so not for the blog, but absolutely we'll still be using distributed systems 100%. I didn't know you could host static site over S3. I thought it was completely just for storage. Yep. Yes, you can absolutely. It's pretty dope. It's a very commonly used paradigm because it's so cheap. And again, the biggest benefit you get out of this, rather than cost, is you don't have to worry about scaling. Like it's massively scalable. You can, a million people could hit my website right now and it would likely still serve fine, and I wouldn't have to worry about scaling up or scaling down. Now you do pay for data transfer in and out of not in S3 but out of S3. So yeah, so I can't use React.js or Vue.js in static AWS. Correct, Rick? Unless you're using Gatsby. Gatsby actually allows you to use. Gatsby is static React. Basically, it's really interesting. It kind of pre-generates all the versions of your. It's the most interesting tool I've seen in a long time. So yes, you can. I think Next.js will allow it as well. But yes, React you can use statically, but you have to run it through Gatsby, and learning how to do that is pretty interesting. But you would not be able to use a normal React site or Vue site in static AWS. You are correct. Can you put ASP.NET on S3? No. Again, unless ASP.NET has a way to statically render pages, you cannot. That still needs a server. Yep. I'm gonna Google hack. I know it's heavy PHP, which is interesting, but I understand. Python RLA. Yeah, okay. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting stack. It makes sense. What's up, Sisek? How you doing today? The question: do you need to be running instance of a website? Like to make changes to it? No. I mean, if you want people to see it, yeah, but no. To make changes to it, no, you do not need a running instance of a website. No dumb questions here. It's not a dumb question at all. Next.js or Nust? I've never heard of Nest. Nuxt. I only heard of Next. I don't know what Nuxt is. The last command I ran was npm build. Yes, I ran npm install. So npm install, and so npm install will take all of the packages and things that are necessary to run Gatsby or this project and install them. And I ran Gatsby build. And so what Gatsby build did is it took the React code that's already in here. I'm just using boilerplate. I didn't do anything else. And it put them into the static folder. So the site now exists within this static folder. Or it should have. Am I crazy? Is that not the command that you do? Hold on. What happened when I ran Gatsby build? I did not look at the output at all. Generating public SWJ proceeding. Where to put this? The following pages will be preached. Okay. Hold on. I wonder if this is not the full theme. Gatsby theme. Let's see. What happened here? I bet that the get ignore Gatsby new starter ghost. Or do I have to Gatsby build from here? Is that weird? Can I not do it from it seems weird. It seems like the whole thing's not here. I'm actually gonna remove this. But again, this is me just not knowing anything about Gatsby, but it's fine. We'll figure this out. I'm gonna remove that whole Gatsby Ghost theme, and I think I can just do. Oh, okay. So this must have been what I did. And then what did I CD into Gatsby Starter Ghost? And I wonder if this is the entire hold on. Okay, I'm gonna start from scratch here. Actually, I did npm install. I did npm install, but I confused myself. So we're gonna start here. It's gonna be easier for us to just do this. I am actually, and I'll push this up so you can do the same thing. So Cobra, I'm going to CD into Cobra. And I'm actually going to, because I built this. Let me try this one more time with the new files in place. It did something, but it did not. This looks better, except it failed to extract no files themes. I guess we try. Okay. I'm going to RM all this only because I want to do this right. Yeah, I do. And let's see what they say here. Let's start from scratch since we didn't do anything with this blog anyway. Gatsby new starter ghost, and let's see what this is going to do real quick. This is going to give us a whole new this is going to suck because we're going to have to do some we are going to have to set up some Git modules probably, but no big deal. No big deal. So that's going to be with Gatsby new with the Gatsby CLI. So it's running all the things that we did before, and we're going to have basically our Gatsby set up here. And so what this example is, a ghost is a blogging platform. it was built in Node.js. And so Gatsby allows these Node applications, these Node React applications, again, to be rendered on the server side of things. And so what was built here is a way for Ghost to integrate with Gatsby. And so what we're about to do now is we are going to use Gatsby to pre-render our blog, so that normally you would have to have a Node.js server running with Express and everything to be able to serve your blog. But here we are, man, this takes a surprising amount of time. We're gonna use Gatsby to pre-build it into static site files that we can simply place into S3. So as that's running, okay, there we go. So now let's put everything here. Oh, Gatsby develop. What is, okay, that's local development. Okay, we're learning a little bit about Gatsby as well. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. What happens if I just run Gatsby? Build. I just want the files real quick, just so I can do. Okay, let's see what happens. This looks like it's working. And did I enable static site? I didn't. So I came over there because I wanted to see what the index file was. I didn't know if it was index.js or HTML. I'm pretty sure it's an HTML. And so if I go into the static folder, I believe, or was I just going into the wrong folder and I should have been looking in the public folder? That was my problem. So maybe it was working before. Yeah, okay, this is all the site files. And an index.html is one. Is there an error in here? Is there an error.html? Okay, it's got no 404 page, I don't think, by default, but no big deal. So I tell it to look for the index.html, which is, again, every website needs an index file. It needs a place for the server to kind of look. And so even though we don't have a server here, there is still web server sitting out in front of these buckets. And we'll see that in a second. But it's got static website hosting. We also have to set up some policy, bucket policy. We'll just Google it. S3 static hosting policy. So we have to set up some permissions. By default, the things that are in these buckets are not available publicly. And if we're going to host a site publicly, we have to set up a policy which allows these objects, these individual files and things, to be able to be accessed publicly. And this is just, I'll share this if you want to go there as well. But again, we're not going to dwell on this here. And so I need to change this to our bucket name. Oh, there we go. Okay, so what this did is, oh wow, dev, I missed dev. What this is gonna do is this is gonna access deny dev.pipelines at academy access to public objects. Oh, did I not change the, oh, change this first. I have to unblock public access, put the policy back. Darn it, actually, did I save that? Edit, unblock public, block all public access, save, confirm. I'm just doing the little things that are necessary to be able to serve S3 buckets. So the thing I just shared will teach you how to, it'll take you through everything you need to do. The stuff that I'm doing right now is all in this list if you want to do this later yourself. But we're gonna do this a second time. We're gonna do this another time when we do for prod really quick in a little bit. So I'm gonna add this bucket policy here. And again, this is all better once it's done automatically, and we'll get there. We'll get to the point where we're doing this in an automated fashion, because, you know, setting things up manually like this are pretty annoying. And even when you do, it's not repeatable. We're gonna have to do this process again. And so the goal is to eventually get to the point where we have this to be an automated process. But I'm gonna save it. All good. And now what I'm going to do is I have no items in here. I'm going to upload all these files right here to my S3 bucket. So let's see. I'm going to AWS S3 sync right here to S3:// dev.pipelines Academy. So I'm going to copy all the files that I have here that I just statically generated with Gatsby. I'm copying them up into that S3 bucket. And now check this out. And again, this is storage. So it's object storage. So now all those files are right here. And they're all sitting right here. And now what you all can do is I'll give you the address to this. I'll click on it, but you all can actually go here, and now we are hosting a website. Check that out. You can click on that, and you can all now see my website. We are already hosting a website. It's pretty nice. And so our company, updates this thing pretty often and needs to put out blogs. But this is just our dev site here, and we're already there. So check this out. We're gonna move this to done because we did this for dev. We can do it for prod in a second. The one other thing I want to do, let's set up some DNS really quick while we're here. Route 53. We have pipelines.academy, and let's go over here and let's set up a new hosted zone for dev.pipelines.academy and an alias, yes, target name, that bucket. And now you might need to give it a few. It might take a while to propagate, but if you hit up dev.pipelines.academy, it'll take you to the same place. It should whenever it's done propagating. There we go. So you can go, that is our official website now of our development server. Dev.pipelines. It's our official pipelines.academy is what we're going to use for our company, but dev.pipelines.academy, we're going to use a different I probably should have named it dev blog. I'll probably change that later because we're going to have other services and stuff. So yes, I ran through it really fast, but I've done that a bunch of times. The goal is not for you to yes, I just want you to know now that you can host static websites through through S3. It's pretty important. Yeah, it's pretty important. And that the Route 53, we'll get to DNS and stuff later. How is HTTPS configured for this? Great question. So the way the HTTPS will be configured through this, you can't do it by default. Would be to use CloudFront is the best option here. So they have Amazon has a free CDN for you to use. Well, it has a free tier, but they have a content delivery network that you can put this in behind that will terminate SSL for you, and they'll also give you a free SSL certificate if you need it. So we can set. We'll have time for that. I think we'll have time for that in a little bit. I think that's a great idea, actually. We'll do that if we have time permitting. For prod, we'll do it for prod, and then dev later. We'll make a certificate that handles all of it. But yes, that is a really good question. All right, let's see. Let me go back up. I think I missed a lot of this. Django server side. I've never heard of Django. No, I've never heard Django server side rendering. I've heard Django. Django is a server. It's a web framework. You got to have a Django server running. But yeah. AWS are the insane amount of permissions. Yes. So great question. I mean, not great question, but great comment. The permissions are incredibly tough. Literally yesterday, me and another engineer who's pretty well versed in AWS, we fought with AWS permissions for a solid 2 hours to get. We were setting up some Lambda and some SES stuff, and we fought with it we were doing it through CloudFormation. We fought with it for hours. So that'll never go away. AWS permissions are notoriously annoying to deal with. To just kind of get right. They're so granular, very specific. Yep, AWS ACM, that'll give you the certificate. Yes, we will get HTTPS up and running, no problem. Does the dev environment look exactly like production in most cases? So generally, no. Why? The reason is because the dev environment is going to be receiving updates first. both infrastructure updates as well as code updates. So generally it doesn't. Usually that's where there's another place. Usually it doesn't go from dev to production. Usually it goes from like development to like a staging environment, which is production like. Usually there's one production like environment. Some people call it QA, some people call it all kinds of stuff. You call it whatever you want, but usually there's a production like environment to test in as well. That is kind of exactly like production, and then going to prod. Again, everyone's pipeline is different. If it's not if it is okay for your site to have problems, maybe you just need to dev and prod, like ours is right now. But yeah, usually dev is a little bit different. Usually it has different data in it. Usually it has different, you try to keep them up to date, but usually it's lagging. Usually dev is a little bit ahead of prod because you're using it for development. Use a load balancer if you're used to hosting. Yes, you can use those load balancers, those ELBs, to terminate SSL as well. If we were using EC2, but yeah, people are always confused about SSL with S3 buckets because can't do anything there. Colonel Panic, thank you so much for the gifted subs again. I already know you're already a VIP, pretty sure. So welcome. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. I really do appreciate you. Okay, let's yeah, we have a whole site now. Our things are coming together, and that is the benefit of using S3, of using Route 53, is because they have these alias records. It is not quite that easy to do. It's not quite that easy to do if you're hosted outside of here. Just because you have to use like a CNAME record, you can't use a record, and it's kind of weird, and your bucket has to be named a certain thing. But yeah. Okay, what else do we have to do? So let's start with the CI/CD process. I think that's most important. I would rather us get the CI process going into dev working than I would for us to have prod set up and not get this working. So we're gonna need to do a couple things. Let's look into GitHub Actions. Let's see what we need to do to get it running. And I already know that we're gonna need to set up a IAM user for our CI. So the CI user is going to need to be able to, actually, let's see. What's the CI user actually gonna be doing? We know that our CI tool, open up. Let's save this. I like this drawing. Save this new file. Cool. Now how do I get out of here? All right, new. Nope, that's not what I want. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll just delete it. Okay, what we want to do is we want to whiteboard. Actually, that's what I want. What we want to do is we want the code again to go to GitHub, and then we basically want the GitHub Actions. We want GitHub Actions. We want GitHub Actions to be able to basically run some tests, but also to push up and put it into our bucket. That's the bucket, S3, and then that can go to the rest of the world. So basically that's really all we're trying to do right now. I think we do want some tests. I think we have some tests by default, and let's find out. I believe Gatsby gives you, I think, some tests by default. What happens if I run like an npm test? Nope. It does not. I should have known that. And actually, let's read the package.json to see if there are any scripts in here. Oh yeah, tests. They do have it. Error, no test specified. So they do, but they do have a linter. They have a linter. So a linter is also a type of test. It's a type of scan, and what a linting does is linting scans they're basically rules that are set up that you can specify, best practices and things that you can identify of a way of writing the code, formatting. So if you prefer tabs and not spaces, tabs instead of spaces, or spaces tabs, and 3 tabs, 2 tabs, and 4 tabs, all that stuff. Different ways that things are written, those can be specified using a linter, and what a linter does is it goes through and it makes sure kind of code is consistent and set up the way that you want it, but it can also, linters can also format the code for you, can automatically do those things. So we do have an option for lint. We have an option for test, but there's no test running. Maybe we'll write a test. maybe if we have time. But so we can run a linter first. What happens if we do npm lint? Did I spell that wrong? What? It was there, wasn't it? Or is it run lint? npm lint. ESLint ESLint should be installed. npm run lint. All right, that's better. Okay, so what that does is, oh my gosh, I messed up again. Almost. Thank you. But yeah, npm run lint. So I'm gonna run a linter. It does not allow me to run an npm test. It does. It's a script, but there are actually no tests set up currently. So the script actually just does this right here. But you know what we can do is we can modify that really quick so that all it does is, instead of execoding 1, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to put a placeholder in here. We're gonna say echo whoops, what am I doing? I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. Let's see, delete inside quotes. Yeah, let's just echo, oh my gosh, echo, what do I want? Oh, let's delete to the end of the line. Why is it doing this? It keeps adding in things I don't want it to add in. Echo, you have successfully run some tests. All right. Why is it, I'm missing something there. What am I missing here? Why is it moving like this? I shouldn't have to quote it up. I don't think. Let's see what happens when I do this. Okay, it worked. So just so that we know that we have some tests, we don't have any tests, but we just want to set up a script. Basically, npm node allows you to set up these scripts via npm to do certain things. Usually people will set up their tests to be run via like npm run tests, and it will execute all of the tests that they have in that repository. Again, we'll be adding tests over the course of this, so you can see what to even see what a software test, a unit test looks like, or integration tests. Maybe we'll write some integration tests as well. But so we have two types of tests in here. We have the linter, and we have the linter, and we have the test. So here's what we're gonna do now. We are going to let's start with setting up GitHub Actions. We'll need to set up a user, but let's start and see if we can start getting GitHub Actions to do some stuff. So I'm gonna Google GitHub Actions. And again, I don't know how to use GitHub Actions. This is going to be a first for, if it's a first for you, it's also for the most part a first for me. Turbo pipe exit 0, you can evaluate success. Yeah, I can do that as well. I'm pretty sure that comes back as a 0 by default. So GitHub Actions. I'm pretty sure this is in general availability now. I'll share this with you. GitHub's sweet CI pipeline. This was just released, I think at the end of 2019, pretty sure. Okay. So run a workflow on any GitHub event. So what is a GitHub event? Again, a GitHub event are things like pushes or issue creations or new releases. So you can basically set up workflows to take place. They're basically event-driven actions. And so, once one of these things happen, when there's a push of code or you create a new issue or a new release, these workflows can begin and they can take flight. And so we have some nice little workflow here that kind of some things we've already talked about, but like Build, test, and publish on push basically is kind of their little infographic showing you that, hey, when there's a push, go ahead and build, test, and publish. It just shows you can set up a workflow like this. And it's also, this is kind of showing you that you can run it on any environment, Windows, Mac, or Linux. I don't know what matrix builds are. Save time with matrix build workflows that simultaneously test across multiple operating systems and versions of your runtime. That's really cool. I didn't know they had this. What does that mean? That means that it's going to allow us to test across, maybe we want to test across both Ubuntu and Red Hat for some reason. I don't know, maybe we're running, I don't know, multiple servers. Sounds like you can do that. Or maybe you want to do both Linux and Windows. Looks like you can do that. And versions of your runtime. So maybe we're working on upgrading to version, I don't know what version of Node we're on now. Maybe we're looking at updating to Node version 13 or something. So it sounds like you can run one test against version 12 and one against 13 at the same time, which is kind of nice. Looks like they have containers for, again, Linux, macOS, and Windows, and ARM. That's pretty cool. And any language you can use. So this is nice. It'll let you know in GitHub like what's kind of happening. But let's do this. So what is our workflow? We want our workflow to be, the dev does some work, pushes to, we talked about our branching strategies and stuff last time. I think we should set it up to where the developer push to a dev branch. Maybe we set up a development branch. Let's set up a development branch. And when they push to the development branch, these things happen. And then things that are pushed to the development branch, I want to say that they get deployed to the development, the dev.pipelines.academy website. I think that makes sense. But there's a lot of stuff in here. You can check it out, but I'm just going to explore it. I'm going to see how you get set up. And so this is cool. It looks like they have some pre-built actions. And I'm assuming these actions are things that you can incorporate into your workflow. So maybe we might not even need to build anything ourselves, but we're still going to build it ourselves. But maybe, which thing I searched for? Oh yeah, I was looking at S3 before for Hugo. They did not have Hugo before automatically, and that's what I was trying to build and deploy. I got it to build properly. I could not get it to push the right thing to S3. Like no matter what I did, it was very frustrating. Like it's such a simple thing, but I couldn't. But let's actually see if they have anything for Gatsby in here. I just want to see before we build anything. Gatsby publish, build and deploy Gatsby site to your GitHub pages. So this is kind of nice. Other CI tools have something like this. So if you're someone who's been using like Circle, they have something called orbs, which you can both build, but it's kind of a config that you can reuse. And so it looks like, I assume that's what these are, basically like, oh, look, they have a whole deploy Gatsby to AWS S3. That's exactly what we want to do. I'm going to look at it just to see if that's what we want. Copies Gatsby site to the root of an S3 bucket. Yeah, this is what we want, but let's see if we can do it ourselves. But to set up I'll leave this up in case we need to reference it. But to set up one of these tools, all you need to do actually is, if you're using Travis, if you're using Circle, GitHub Actions, you need to tell GitHub Actions, hey, you need to set up the connection between them. You need to link your repository and that service. And then all you need to do is put a configuration file in your repo. And that's all that you need to do. It's really nice, actually. And so that's what we're going to do here. There's this Actions tab inside of GitHub, which I assume is going to help us work through this process. All right, workflows made for your JavaScript repository. The repo already knows we're using JavaScript. I'm gonna grab publish Node.js package to npm and GitHub packages. I am going to let's just take this default one, the setup workflow for Node.js. Let's try this. All right, and so what it's gonna do when you run through this is GitHub Actions is nice because you're already in GitHub. It gives you a little editor and it gives you some base starter code for you to work with. And we're gonna break this down a little bit. This is going to be another reason to go back to the iPad, I think. Let's break it down a little bit. Let's delete this. The way that these things kind of work is you have a couple different pieces. So you have this configuration file. Config. And it's usually written in YAML, which is yet another markup language. And it's basically superset of JSON. It's key value stores. It's just key value stores. So it's used in a lot of DevOps, SRE things. But you're gonna have this config file. All this. And so this is going to be sitting in your repository. And what's going to happen is you're going to need to set up a couple of different things. In here, you're going to need to set up something called, basically you're going to set up jobs, and you're going to need to set up workflows. And they may be called something different depending on the tool that you're using. The tools you're using with jobs are basically going to be the different actual activities that are going to need to happen. So like these are going to be things like checking out the code. These are going to be things like installing, a certain package. These are going to be things like building the application. So these are things like checkout, like the actual individual item that you want to do, like install a package, I don't know, update something, even build code. The individual jobs are going to be listed out as those things. But you can also have this things called workflows, which are basically just a list of jobs. And so you can set up a number of jobs, and then you can have different workflows that do different things based on certain conditions. And so it's kind of nice. So you can see here, Academy View. I remembered this time. You can see here, I have jobs here. I didn't put this here. Let's start from the top. You give it a name. And then this is the key value. So key and then value. And then basically you give it the action when this should take place. This is all event driven. When should this take place? On a push to the master branch, or on a pull request to the master branch. And again, you might be looking at this like, oh, how do you know to put that? Like, what is that? This is all things you're gonna have to find out through GitHub Actions documentation. I'm just reading to you what I see. And we're gonna basically take this and change these things up. So it's only set up for master branch right now. And it says, hey, the jobs that we have available to us are build. We have a build job. And that build job is going to run on Ubuntu latest. So this is the container basically that's going to run on, or the underlying operating system. Strategy, I don't know what strategy is. We'll look that up, but it looks like we just learned about those matrices a little bit, and it looks like it's going to run 3 different node versions all at once. I don't think we need that right now, but I'll leave strategy there because I don't know what it is. Then it has the steps that happen. So these are the things that need to happen as a part of this build. These are the steps of the build job. And the steps are actions checkout v2. So it looks like it's using an action. So maybe we need to go look at what checkout v2 does. I believe it's going to check out the code, I think. Give it a name, use Node.js version. And so it's going to pull from here. Use action setup node with node version. Okay. And then it's going to run some commands. These are the actual commands. These are like Linux commands that it's going to run. So it's going to run npm ci, npm run build, and it's going to run npm test. So I can add to this. I can do, if I wanted to run lint, I can do, why is caps lock on? I could do run npm run lint. If I want to do that, and then npm test. So these are the different tests and things it's going to run. I don't know what npm ci is. I don't know if that's dedicated to GitHub Actions or not. I'm going to try it here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not though. Oh, remove it. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's not good. Not good. It's just going to take it a while. Removing existing node modules before installation is so Should we not limit it to the node version we're building? We should. We're gonna limit it to the node version we're building. The only reason I didn't remove it yet is because I'm not sure if we need that strategy thing here. I don't know what strategy is. So I see what you're saying. We could leave the matrix here and do this, and everything will be fine. It would just be the collection of just this. That makes sense. We can leave that here, but I do want to know what strategy is. So GitHub strategy workflows. So this YAML syntax for workflows. So workflows, a configurable automated process. Jobs strategy. A strategy creates a build matrix for your job. So we don't need the build matrix. So probably in lieu of that, I'm gonna leave that here, but I could probably, in lieu of this, there's probably a way for me to define the version by itself, but we'll leave it there. We'll leave it as is. This is the default code. And let's see what happens. Let's start this commit. Commit new file. What do we do here? Setup GitHub actions. Why is GitHub? Oh, that's whack. Oh, because it's not capitalized. Oh well. GitHub actions. I don't care. I'm gonna commit this directly to master. And so let's see what happens really quick. So all this did was that allowed me to it basically, I could have done that from the command line. I did not need to do that there, but they make it easier for you to kind of get set up originally. And so what that did is it created this folder here, which is GitHub workflows, and it created this node.js.yaml here with this stuff in it. So now if I were to pull this, I would go ahead and get this file and I can edit it from here. But once it's in there, it should be building, I believe. And so let's actually go to actions, and it's doing stuff now. Why is it doing stuff? Because this right here, what I just did is I made a push to master. I committed code to the master branch. And remember, this project, the first thing that we said in here, oops, vim.get GitHub. No. What is the what folder is it in? ls-lah. It's not GitHub dot GitHub. What's happening here? What am I doing wrong? I just pulled. I thought it made a .github workflows. cd .github. Is workflows hidden too? That's weird. What is happening? It did in fact pull that. Am I in the wrong folder? I'm in the wrong folder, aren't I? No, I'm not. Oh, yeah. I did something wrong, I think. We redid everything. I got it. Okay. Should we not limit it? It might be on the get. No, I don't think it's the get ignore. Remember, we blew everything away. I don't think I ever pushed that up to. So I actually think that's here. It's here, which is the wrong place. So what I'll do really quick is I'll let that build. It actually should fail. It should fail because it failed for us. npm run lint, missing script lint, npm lint didn't work. So look at what it did though. Let's look at what happened. Let's look at the jobs that it did. So it set up our job, so set everything up for us, and then it started to run the things that were listed in that file. So let's actually look at it real quick from here. GitHub workflows. All right, the first thing it did, it set up everything, and then it ran GitHub Actions or Actions checkout v2. So it did that here, and you can see what actually happened during that step. Again, this is used to check out. It's used for your actions, your workflow, your CI workflow to check out your code. So it checks out the code for you, and then it uses node 12.x because that's what we set up in the matrix to use 12.x. Run npm CI, so it ran an npm CI command. So really, at the end of the day, it's really just like CI tools are really just kind of script runners for you. You could just as easily write a script to do this, and that is that is CI. But the problem is it doesn't give you a lot of the feedback and things that you want out of a tool like this. So the lint failed, which is fine. So we had a test that did fail. And did it not even run npm test? I don't even know what this means. It probably didn't even run it. It skipped it because this failed, I believe. Yeah, so the build failed, which is kind of good, but it did run a build. It absolutely ran a build. And let's see if we can fix this repo. I think the best way for us to fix this repo is going to be the ugliest way possible, and something that you should not do, to be 150% honest with you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy or move workflows. Actually, I'm gonna okay, this is gonna be gross. This is gonna be really gross. I'm going to move that. I don't know what's in here, but I'm gonna rll.github. Don't do this. I'm gonna remove this issue template. Actually, I'm gonna remove this whole folder. I'm going to rm-rf Gatsby starter dot get star ll. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't do this. Try not to do this. I'll leave mrc get. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move Gatsby starter. I'm gonna move everything in there to here, and it is move not that. I'm gonna rm-rf Gatsby starter ghost get status. Okay, this is a mess, but I think I fixed it. I'm gonna get add get commit. Whoa, we replaced. Why do we have crlf? Oh, that's fine. That's actually good. I don't know why we have so many of those. Get ag commit get commit. Completely redid the site because we did everything here. Oh no. Okay. No, I'm not doing that. Get, what is it? Get help. What is I don't want no modules in there. How do you delete get rm? These should be a part of my get ignore, but and I already committed though, didn't I? That's fine. Now removing no modules without R. WSL2. Yes, I did see that, Mr. Demon Wolf. They say don't update to it. There's a lot of problems with it. Not WSL2, but with the update, with some other stuff. But yes, kind of lost. Please summarize. So what we're doing right now is don't necessarily worry about the setting up the Gatsby site. All we're doing is we are setting up a CI pipeline for a Gatsby blog. It's not important that it's Gatsby, but we're setting up a build pipeline for a blog to automatically get built, tested, and deployed out to an environment. And that is our goal right now. There we go. Get moved node modules. I need to add this to my git ignore. Git push. And so we're using GitHub Actions to do this. And we're gonna get it to build, test, and push to an S3 bucket automatically for us. And we're gonna get to see that on the front end in a second. So surprisingly, we're already almost there. Yeah, blocked it for devices that will have an issue. Oh, cool. I blocked it for one PC, but I'll try it then. I'll definitely try it then. I didn't know if it was gonna block it for certain PCs. I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go on my laptop because I kind of need this computer and I don't want to be down and out, and I really don't want to have to reinstall Windows on here to get stuff fixed. Okay, so now what happened? I pushed up to here. So now because I pushed up to GitHub, we should actually see a new build. And look at this. There is, in fact, I pushed to master. There is a new build happening right now. And so you can actually see this little yellow dot shows you that there's a build currently happening. But if I go to, again, actions, and I can see the first one failed, but this is in fact running right now, and I can look at it as it's going. So we can let this run. Let's take a look at the GitHub action that's already created to be able to do something like this, and let's see if we can break it down a little bit and see what we need to implement. So this is kind of a default thing to deploy Gatsby site to an AWS S3 bucket. This is exactly what we want to do. So this is actually really nice because this means that there's likely, for common things, there's probably some boilerplate that you can use. And maybe we can use this completely, which we probably can because we don't have that much customization in what we're doing. But let's take a look at it and see how it's built before we use it. Quick recipe. S3 static hosting, no CloudFront. So we talked about CloudFront being a way to it's a CDN, it's a content delivery network that S3 can kind of sit behind, and again, it can also terminate SSL, but this does not include CloudFront. So you're just kind of letting us know that if we want to do some things with CloudFront, we may need to extend this. But what do they have here? He calls this deploy. We can call it whatever we want. On push to branches master. So this is very important. This will only deploy if we push to the master branch. I'm going to create a new branch shortly, and I'm going to show you how GitHub Actions does not build if I do not push to master, and I'll show you how we can change that. The jobs. So it's gonna do some of the same stuff here. So it looks like it's using the same boilerplate that we are using with Node. It's gonna run some stuff. Then look, it's gonna run this build, which is npm ci and npm run build. Then it's gonna configure AWS credentials. This means that we likely need to give this credentials, and generally you don't want to give this your credentials. You want to create a user for your CI pipeline that only has access to do the things that it needs to do. You do not, it's the rule of least privilege. You do not want to give administrator access to your CI pipeline. You want to give it access to the things that it needs to do. And so we need to configure some AWS credentials. And it looks like someone has an action set up for that. Great. Looks like it's using some variables in here. So an access key and a secret key. So we know about those things. We'll try to figure out how we can set these up, because you don't want to put your secret, you don't want to put your keys in code. So there's probably some type of variables or something we can set up to do this. Set up a region. So we got to make sure we set up our proper region. And then it looks like they have a deploy where we can deploy to our bucket. This is nice. For the most part, it's nice. Okay. Oh, recipe with CloudFront. So they have something with CloudFront. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. I am now, so I don't have a Gatsby site, but I am stealing this. I'm stealing this. This is great. I'm stealing this for my own personal stuff. At least this piece, and I'll grab the Hugo build piece, and then I'll use the deploy piece that he has here. I like this. Okay. Quick recipe with non-standard Gatsby build. Okay, so it looks like we can take this. Let's actually take this, and let's steal it, and let's modify it accordingly. And let's actually see if our build failed or not. I have no idea. Actions. what happened here. It looks like it failed. It did fail. It failed on the run build. No big deal. We will figure out why it failed. Ghost API URL and Ghost API content key are required to build. Okay. I don't know what that means. We'll figure that out in a second. Let's take what they have and let's see if we can get it running. Big update. WSL is so good. Yeah, it's phenomenal. And the Windows terminal is really nice. But until I'm waiting for a couple more features for that. But it is pretty nice. Maybe if I can just find some themes, I might use it. What's the difference between what you were doing and something like Netlify? Nothing. People are always surprised when I say that. Nothing. There's nothing different. Not nothing. I wouldn't say there's nothing different. The difference is you are more like you have more control over this. You give yourself to Netlify. It's kind of off into their world, and yeah, you gotta just you don't quite have as many options. Netlify is an amazing choice. I highly recommend you push in. Like, Netlify is a perfectly reasonable option, but because when you do it through S3, you have access to do a lot more. So if you're just trying to get a site up, great, push it to Netlify, push it to GitHub Pages. But if this is going to be something that's going to grow, that you need some control and access over, that you may need to extend in the future, S3 is phenomenal for that. The reason why you want to do as many privileges as you can, you don't want to give root to everyone per se. Super correct. You also don't want your CI pipeline to be able to like spin up servers that are going to cost you $200 a month. Like, you don't want to accidentally be spinning up resources that you don't need. So you want to make sure it has that. Is S3 faster than free optional GitHub Pages? Faster, I don't know if it's faster. I bet you though, I bet you that it scales better. I bet you that it can handle more traffic. But again, if that's not important, if you're just having your own setup, great. But yeah, how does AWS compare to Heroku? It's so Heroku is more of a platform as a service, and I guess you could honestly argue that the cloud is exactly that, as a platform as a service. They're similar. Heroku again tries to abstract away as much from you as possible. Same way Netlify does. It tries to make it as easy as possible for you to do things, but when that happens, that takes away a lot of your access. It takes away a lot of your configurability. It takes away a lot as well. But again, if you're just trying to get a site up, GitHub Pages, like, you won't even like speed, all that, you probably won't even notice on that level. It probably only will start to show the differences at scale, to be honest. Yeah, like GitHub, I super highly recommend GitHub Pages. I'm not a you should always put this on S3, but as for companies, for organizations, generally you're already going to be working out of some type of cloud account, and sticking in S3 again for the management of it. I don't think, maybe there is, when we get to the infrastructure as code piece as well, that is also where you'll see significant benefit of using S3, especially when you're doing some other stuff. John Wonton, wow, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. Gotta VIP you real quick. VIP John _Wonton, happy Saturday. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. Everyone, please give a warm thank you to John Wonton, who's got that. If you got a gifted sub out of that, thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate it. 100%. Pretty dope. You are loved. You're now VIP. There's a lot of VIPs on this channel. There's a lot of VIPs on here. Okay. 12/18. We're still fine. We'll definitely get it done before then. But let's go ahead and let's put in the code that we just copied. So let's vim.github. Was it workflows node.js.yaml. So I'm actually going to delete everything in here, and I'm going to paste in what we copied, and let's go ahead and let's modify this. So name deploy, that's fine. I'll leave that as is. And again, it only pushes on branch master. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to create another branch and see how this does not pick up. real quick, and we're gonna leave this as is real quick because we need to make some changes. But I'm going to do a git status, git add.github, git status, git commit. Actually, before I commit, I don't want to add. I'm gonna make a new branch, git checkout -b. I'm actually gonna make a development branch. Let's go ahead and make a development branch. We're doing development right now, so make a development branch. Git add, git commit, updated, GitHub action, sure, whatever. And I'm gonna push this to the development branch -u origin development. All right, so we pushed this up, did a lot there. We basically just copy and pasted though, so we didn't really do a lot. I will say this, the best part, like the best part about like as you're getting better at tech, as you're learning more things, the best part about it is that you get so much more comfortable at knowing exactly what to copy and paste, or being comfortable copy and pasting. I really do, like because you can look at something and identify, like, you know what you want to achieve, because you've had the experience of seeing it, the different pieces in action and stuff. When you look at something, you know what it does, and you can just, you know exactly what to copy and paste and what not to. I find that to be one of the most gratifying pieces of the things that I do daily. I love when I'm like going through a problem and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I find something, I'm like, I used to copy it all, not understand what any of it did, and have to like fumble through it, and it used to be so taxing on my brain. But now I'm like, I can see it, I'm like, oh, this looks like it looks like it'll do what I want it to do. I have no idea if it's gonna work, but it looks like it should do what I want, and I can remove the pieces and add the pieces, and it makes me feel good about myself. I never thought copy and pasting will make me feel as good as it does, but it makes me feel good. But notice how we pushed the branch, and there's no jobs running right now, but if I go to my code, there is in fact a new branch here. There's a development branch of code. But again, it's not equipped to run anything because of, we told it to only run in, on master branch. So we're gonna edit this. This is a list here. We're just gonna create a new option here, and we're gonna also say on branch, development. So, you can set this up to do you can set this up to work a number of ways. Like right now, and again, I can actually show you, I'm actually gonna show you a production level YAML for our project, which I'm allowed to show you because it's open source. But I'll show you what that looks like, and kind of the workflow that you kind of have in here. And this is for Circle CI, and start to see how, I mean, it's also YAML, so it looks a little bit differently. But what we can do is, we have these workflows here. We will build and test no matter what branch you push. You push any branch, we do a regex that says any branch you push, we will build and we will test it. We won't deploy it though. And so these are the different jobs that we have here. So cache dependencies, we have tests, we have certain tests here. And again, these run all the time. These steps can run all the time for every branch and every tag. You know, certain tests that we have, new tests here, test mocha, test format, which is our linter, build. So this is the build step. The build step will only run, we won't build, so we'll test for anything, but we only will build a package if you push to any of these branches. So master, any of our feature branches, or for some of these sneak fixes, don't worry about sneak right now, or these tags. And then it'll only build a package if you push to master or any of these. So you can kind of control what happens depending on what branch you're on. You can kind of control what steps take place. There are other ways to do this as well. But just wanted to show you that like you can like use the branching strategies in the CI pipelines to determine whether or not something happens. And that's the reason why it didn't build. So I could put a star here. I could just put a star, or maybe I might have to put a regex, but I could put a star here and say, hey, build on any branch. But right now we're going to specify master and development is what it'll build on. And so let's do that. And I'm gonna do git add. Actually, 1 second, real quick. I'm going to let me see what she's barking at. I'm waiting for an important package, and I think my wife is gone. So give me like 2 seconds to see if that is the people, because I think I need to sign for it. Pretty sure I need to sign for it. Let me say, what do we want here? Okay, there we go. Be right back. All right, what a great alert dog. She caught me, perfect timing. It was, in fact, UPS, and he was just about to leave. And I caught him. I needed that package, so this is good. See, alert dogs are good for some things. And she's gonna bark until he's all the way gone. Okay, sorry, I ran up and down the stairs because he was about to leave, and I really needed it. Whew, I'm glad I caught that. So we were in the middle of making some changes to GitHub Actions, workflows, git commit -m. And so again, notice how this is happening every time I push code to GitHub. Notice it is every single time it's building if it's allowed to. And so there's no extra things I need to do. So this is part of the automation. This is a part of that automatic workflow that kind of happens in creating that pipeline. So added development branch to builds. And I'm gonna do a git push. Okay, and now this time it should, in fact, if I go back to it's too big. Now if I go to actions this time, check this out. We do in fact have a build now, and again, it's because I added the development branch as something that could be built. And so this is gonna fail. It's definitely gonna fail because it looks like there's some things we need to set up really quick. But it's building. We just want to know that it's building. Why you don't use git add dot? Great question. I don't use git add dot for what happened previously to this. If git add dot is yes, you can use git add dot. It's okay, but only use it after you've run a git status and determined that everything you want, everything that's there is needed. Because git add dot can like just defaulting to that can get you into a bad habit where you end up adding things like I did before with all the node modules that you didn't intend to add. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with git add dot. It's a habit that I pulled myself out of after making a bunch of mistakes and adding things that I did not mean to add. Sometimes I tend to pull in a bunch of test files to do things. Like if I want to probe, let's say I'm working on an application and a piece of it isn't working, I'll pull out that application and I'll pull out that code into a new file, and I'll set up a scenario to test it because I'm not the best test writer. You can use unit tests to do the exact same thing, but I'm not the best test writer, and so I don't want to catch myself checking in code that I don't care about or that shouldn't be in there, or maybe I pulled in some type of test database or something and I put it in that directory or something. I don't know. It's just a habit that I tried to get myself out of, but git add dot is completely fine. But if possible, if there's only a couple files, I'll usually specify the files individually. But this fails, as it should have. But let's see where it failed. Let's see what it actually did. So it got to the build step and that failed. Why did this fail? I feel like it should have built just fine, but it did not. Oh, so okay, so we need ghost API URL, ghost content API key. So this is something that we'll need, I guess, to set up that I didn't think of. But all good. It sounds like there's some kind of config that we're gonna need. No big deal. So let's see what that is. Let's actually just Google this. Actually, we can probably just look at the guy's GitHub Actions thing. So it says we need this, the AWS access key and secret key, which is fine. I'm gonna Google. This does not look like what I want already. What's your URL? The easiest way to do that? What version of Ghost are you using? So there's a Ghost config, but I'm not done. Why do I need an API key? What is this? Looks okay to me. How are you creating the Gatsby Node.js though? You need to update. Let's see. Ghost API key. I don't oh, I wonder. I wonder if the example that I pulled, hold on, let's go back to, but that worked. This worked. And I built just fine. What's the build command? Let's see what the build command is. npm run build. Isn't that what I did locally? npm run build. Local build command. Probably should run npm install. Oh, because I did the npm CI. Damn. This npm install takes forever. Okay, all good. Probably deciding to Ghost. That seems weird though. That seems weird because I'm able to build it. Like if I can build it running npm build, which I've already done, and push those files, it seems very weird that I would need to sign into Ghost. But I wonder if it's because I took the no. Let's let the npm build run. Like this npm build should be no different than my npm build. Let me go back to where I was. And if I need to, we will, but that just seems really weird. In the meantime, because we only have half an hour left, let's go ahead and set up the other pieces that are needed. So the other pieces that are needed are these variables, which are AWS access key ID and AWS secret access key. So generally, there's some way to access variables or interpolate variables or whatever inside of the code. And so there's probably a setting in here for me to do this. I'm pretty sure I remember there being a setting inside of GitHub Actions for me to be able to set up these variables. So first I'm going to make a user. I'm going to make an IAM user inside of AWS that only has access to push to this bucket. I don't want them to be able to push to any other bucket. I want them to be able to push to this one bucket. So I'm going to go into IAM and I am going to create a new user. So I have one for Circle CI because I use Circle CI. Which is a part of the DevOps group that has certain permissions that I've set up as a group, but I do not want this user to have that. I'm going to set up a user named GitHub Actions. Pretty easy. And I only want them to have programmatic access. Again, the rule of least privilege, this user does not need to log into the console, so they only get programmatic access, which gives them an access key and a secret key. Next, permissions. Let me attach policies directly to the user. No, not full access. I'll use this. I only want them to be able to put, let's see. Action, read only. We don't only gonna give them get and list. Actually, I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna create a policy. Sorry, I don't want to do it this way. Actually, I've never used this visual editor. Let me see if it works. Like ever. So I only want them to. I want them to be able to write, to list, to read, and to write, to simply simply to specific buckets add-on. Is it gonna automatically fill it out for me? Dev dot pipelines dot academy. Yeah, I'm not used to doing it this way. I don't really set this stuff up in here. I set up policies and stuff through either Terraform or CloudFormation, so it's interesting. Or I'll just do it through the JSON. But I'm gonna try this out. I've never used this before. Or I've used it once a long time ago. Job, specified job resource for ARN. Region, US 1 job ID. I don't think I know what this is, but whatever. Object / is what I want. Dev dot pipelines dot academy. Object name any. What is this? The job is a basic unit of work. Oh, batch operations. I don't need this. That's why I didn't know what it was. Okay. Request conditions. Nah, that's fine. All right, we're gonna see if this works. I'm gonna call this GitHub Actions deploy. Will that work? Yeah, there we go. I'll just leave it at that. I'll create a policy. So these are just the permissions that are needed, but I still need to attach this to. I wonder if it'll show up now if I refresh. What did I call this? I already forgot. GitHub. Yeah, there we go. That's just policy. The stuff. I'm not even gonna give it a tag, just 'cause I don't care right now. We're gonna add all the really nice things later. I'm gonna download this so I don't forget it. I'll leave that there, and I'm not gonna show it because I mean, you can only push that bucket. I don't really care, but I'll input them off screen. Okay, so now we created a user that should be able to push to the S3 bucket. So what we need to do now is inside of GitHub Actions. So inside of your CI tool, you need to give your CI tool a way to be able to use these things. And again, it's authenticating via the key and access key. But you can set those up in inside of your workflow as environment variables. So these will, this secrets paradigm right here is a paradigm of GitHub Actions to be able to pull secrets for your stuff. And so I go over to my repo. Let's go to Cobra. Let's go to Actions. Let's go to this deploy workflow. I should be able to set up some secrets in here. Let me go to settings, secrets. So inside of the project, you can set up some secrets. So just go to settings over here, and there's a secrets thing here, and there are no secrets, so I have to set up a new secret. And so what I'll do is I'll need to set up one for AWS access key ID. Where was I? had to close all these tabs. I'll leave that open. So a secret. And so I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna copy, so you can't see, I'm gonna copy a secret key there real quick. Okay, let's access key ID first. Okay, I copied. Oh no, what happened? Security secrets, new secret. value paste. 1 second. Some days I'm an excellent copy paster. Other days I'm really bad at it. Okay, that's 1 in there, and new secret. The second one. And this is deploy different application. Grab this, copy. Okay, so I added 2 secrets to the repository, and now if I go back, you can see that I have 2 secrets here, and they basically get stuck in basically as environment variables, and these can be accessed through the through my CI pipeline. This same paradigm is available to you in all other build tools. There's some form of secrets or environment variables or something that you can add that your job can access. Why do we need to do this? Again, you do not want to be putting your keys. It would be bad if I put my keys in a publicly accessible GitHub, repo. You don't want those things there. And so I can't just stick my keys in here. Yeah, I need to do what we just did. Okay, so I got those keys in there. It said we needed one more thing. What else did it say we needed? It said we needed, first, let me do this Gatsby build, this npm run build really quick. Okay, now I'm getting the error that I was not getting. But that's when I run build. Please fix the error and try again. Your Gatsby. Okay, we'll probably need to do that in a second. But I just really, oh, because we run a Gatsby build and not an npm run build. Okay, that's the problem. So let's look at the package JSON and let's see what it's running for. It's running, oh, run build is running a Gatsby build. Okay, that's really weird. So let me try again. Gatsby build instead of npm run build, and see, it built fine for me though. Oh, it didn't now. Okay, something has changed, but no big deal. Let's see, check the readme. So we'll check the readme. See what we need to set up really quick. Content APIs are generally not considered to be sensitive information. They exist. So this is for Netlify, isn't it? I only see that. It's right here. JSON the default. Hold on. T-shirt. By default, the starter will populate content from a default Ghost install located at this place. To use your own install, you need to edit the Ghost JSON. Next, update the content API key. The starter without issues. The Ghost installation needs to be at least on version 2.10.0. The default Ghost version that is used for the starter is 3.x. If your Ghost installation is a lower version, you will need to pass in a version property Ghost settings JSON. Okay. All right. Now we're diving into the application code problems, but that's fine. What did it say we need to do in Ghost JSON settings? Vim. Where is the Ghost JSON? ls-la. It's saying that it should use a default thing, but it's not. So I'm gonna look at this Gatsby config.js. Require, okay, finally. So this is where it's failing. Node.m development, Ghost config development, Ghost config production. Okay, Ghost config require./ghost. Oh, maybe I'm missing a folder. Let's see, Gatsby. We might have missed something in the transition. We may have easily missed something in the transition, which is probably true. We don't have this ghost.json. I think that's the problem. All right, let's grab it. I'm just gonna grab it. Yeah, this looks like exactly what we're missing. Okay. That's spelled wrong. Okay. And so this is a lot of times what the job is going to entail is trying to figure out random problems like this. And so if I run build again, I'm actually gonna run the npm run build. I bet it'll work this time. And I lied to you. I lied to you. Oh, actually something different happened. No, that seems that's where it was. Hold on, did I put it in the right place? vim.ghost.json. That seems right. But I didn't mean to click on that. Okay, let's go back to the README again. I'm probably missing something else, but let's look at this README. Ghost greater than. What's up, Margot? How you doing? Been a while. How you been? We are trying to just get this to build real quick. We're so close. API UR v2. Maybe I have to do less than or equal to 3.0, greater than or equal to 2.m, but less than 3.0. How do I check vim package a JSON? What? Hey, we should be good. We should be good. That ghost. I wonder if it needs to be somewhere else. No, it doesn't need to be somewhere else. That's where it is. What is it? Gatsby build. Doing a hackathon and recruiting developers. That's dope. What do you which hackathon are you doing? Let me, okay, we're gonna fix, here's how we're gonna fix this. The way that we're gonna fix this is, again, we are going to watch this. We are going to take this again. We're gonna take this Ghost starter package again. We're gonna clone it. We're gonna make this work right now before time's up. I'm gonna clone it here. I'm gonna copy, I'm gonna move Cobra dot get. I'm gonna move it to whatever we just downloaded, which was Gatsby starter. And I'm going to rm-rf. This is like the worst way. This is like the worst way to do this. It's even worse than the last one we did. Get .github, because I don't feel like setting up Git modules right now. And I'm going to move, and I'm going to move .github, and I'm going to delete Cobra, and I'm going to move Gatsby to Cobra. Okay, watch this. That's fair. Let's see if it builds actually. npm run build. npm install. We'll let that run. I'm pretty sure that'll fix it. What I did is I basically I think when I deleted the .get star last time, I messed up a lot of things, and that was a big problem. I shouldn't have done that. So I kind of, we haven't made any changes to the repo, so not a big deal. So what I did was I kind of recopied this and kind of replaced, we're basically using this this kind of as is, and we basically just replaced their Git stuff with ours, so that we can push the Cobra. Are you in the Cobra project that started a hackathon? I am not. I don't know what that is, and I am not. Let me check where we're also on. That's dope. You're doing so many hackathons, man. You just, I'm not that helpful. I want to be one day. Let that build. And what's the last thing that we need? Try Ghost, Polyglot. Where was the person's GitHub Actions search? And what do we call this? This was Gatsby. And let's see what else we needed. We set up our secrets. And I think the only other thing that we need is the bucket. Your bucket should be changed to your bucket name. So we can put a bucket name in there, which is our destination bucket. And that worked. Let's see. Yes. So this does work now. So watch this. Let's let that build. And then I'll push this up in a second. What's up, Agamemnon? I think, yeah, that's right. Yeah, welcome. What's up, Yusef? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. We're just finishing up some CI/CD stuff. We're struggling through some stuff, but this is kind of how it goes to get the process set up. But once the process is set up, everything is nice and dandy and life is good. We're really close. Last thing we're gonna do is GitHub, workflows, node.js.yaml, bucket. I'm gonna manually change this to my bucket, and we're gonna switch this up in a little bit. So dev.pipelines.academy is the bucket, which they said put, which is our destination bucket. And let's see what happens when we do this. Fixed everything and added bucket. All right, so hopefully what we're gonna see here, we're gonna see the development branch. Hopefully we'll see the development branch build. So Cobra, we are on master. I can go to actions, but maybe if we click on development, we see the little yellow thing saying it's running. So I'll click on details. Okay, so the job setup, it's checking it out. It's using Node.js, and this time it is it's actually building. Hopefully it does not fail. Lets us know how long it's running for. But let's see what happens. Fix commit message. Oh yeah, I mean, I frequently fat finger commit messages. You should be oh yeah, ixed everything and added bucket. All good, no big deal. We will get better at our commit messages as time goes on, but you can watch everything that's happening, and it's really nice. But again, it's not anything all that special. It's just running. It's basically running Linux commands. It's basically a script runner. So it's just running some scripts to kind of get through these different things, and so we can see what's happening. We can also use that information to troubleshoot in case there are problems, but let it build. Just let it go. You know, builds can take anywhere from a couple seconds to hours, depending on how big your project is. And so we're just gonna let it go, and hopefully this works. What we're also gonna do is, we'll let this go. We'll see if it deploys. Okay, this looks good to me, actually. Okay, so it says it uploaded the files in the bucket, but they're probably the same files. But the way that we can confirm that the build actually completed successfully. But let's head over to S3 really quick, and let's go to dev, and let's look at when the files were last updated. At 12:53. It's 12:54 right now. So these files were just put in here, even though they're the same as what they were before. They were just put in here. So if you go to dev.pipelines.academy, again, this is how you can see the files. Let's see if we can change. Let's see what it looks like to actually make a change to the site. So let's see if we can find this. Let's see if we can change this tagline right here. I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna grep for this because I don't know. I have no idea what this is. Oh, it's in a bunch of different places, which makes sense. How do you exclude public? I'm sitting here. This is awful. Maybe I should actually just go into source. I'll go into source really quick and do it from there. But I want to find out where this is on the site. It might be in static as well. So let me see. We'll look for just Jamstack. I can remove that exclude public, but it's not here. CD dot. Let me see the static, and let's see if it's in here. Even though, Jamstack alone. All right, where is it saying it's in? This is gross. I mean, I should just open this up in VS Code, to be honest. This is my it's telling me Jamstack. This is in. See, this is in the built. This is in the built stuff though. This might be. Yeah, it is. It's easier in VS Code. Cancel. Oh. Wait, am I in the right in Cobra? What's happening? Why isn't it searching? The results found. And do I have the right thing open? I have this editor open. Oh. Am I in the right hold on. Yeah. Interesting. It's not finding Jamstack. Let's see. What is this? Use regex. I don't want to match case. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Open settings. It's not finding it. All right, maybe we can change something else. Ghost and Gatsby. I feel like this is really weird. Oh, I wonder. Oh, you know what? You know what I bet it is. Remember, this is pulling. I wonder if it has anything to do with the API, like the content API key and stuff. I wonder if it's pulling content from somewhere else. But yeah, I wonder if this. Let's see what's in. Let's see what's in this code base really quick. Source, components, comment. Oh, let me go to templates actually. Okay, but I might be able to change something. Author.js, or let's see these real quick. What's in here? Did it go author Twitter URL? Okay, and that's for, I guess that's for the individual. I wonder if it's for this. Author home tag. All right, so it's pulling the data from somewhere else, but what can I change? Let's see what I can change easily. I want to make a change to this so we can see it. Facebook URL, metadata, class div. Yes, I can actually. Let's look at the index.js. Class name, post feed. I want to see something that you can see. Oh yeah, it's going to GraphQL. I'm pulling from the data endpoints. Whack. Should have thought about that. Maybe I can add and tag below markup for each post. Post ID. We change the style. That might be the easiest thing to do. Yeah, let's change we can change like even the font. Let's change the primary color. Yeah, CSS is gross. Let's change the primary color to something ridiculous. So first off, I think my VS Code is set up to will show us that color. No, it won't. Let me grab that. I forgot this isn't set up for anything. Where were we at? Styles. Let's see what color that is, so we can figure out what the primary color actually is. I could change. There's a lot of stuff I could change here. Color primary. Let's grab this. Copy. Oh, it's actually not even gonna let me copy that because I'm gonna change it just to. Let's see what happens if I just change it to like white or black. I'll just make it 0, whatever. Now let's see what happens if I run. I think I can run Gatsby develop and see it locally. Let's see if that broke everything. You can only run for a Gatsby site, so I can't. Oh, wrong directory. That makes sense. Theoretically, this should break everything. Oh, or make the colors super crazy. Let's see what happens when I do this. Localhost 8000 is where I can go to see the site. I don't see any changes there. Or do I? Nah, I lied. I don't see anything. Let's change some other things. Let's change. See, I wonder what the author about. Maybe I can just change like a link to that. Let's see. I should open up a new tab. I want to make a change that matters. Do they have Nullify Toml? I don't know how to use Gatsby. Utils, templates, styles, pages. What is in pages? Oh, I can change it. There we go. There we go. I can change to 404. Check this out. Class name, content body page not found. There we go. So on our site right now, if we go to this and we go to a page that doesn't exist, like this. Nope, because we don't have the error page set up. But I can set up the error page. Just delete picture. That makes sense. Where is? But well, I don't think the pictures are in this repo. Are they? Oh yeah, images. Let's see. That might work. That might make sense. See, this is not ghost icon that PNG. What are we doing? Documents, pipelines, Cobra source images. Yeah, let's replace this image. Let's do that. That makes sense. We'll replace this with pretty small pictures. Damn. we'll just delete it. It'll break it. It's boring to actually. Where is that on the site? Just so we can see it. It's the fave icon, and it's the thing. It's probably also the thing by Ghost. Probably both of those. Ghost logo and images. Ghost logo to SVG. Is this SVG? No, this is the .png version of it, which is probably the fave icon. To be 100% honest, and probably this as well. I'll look at the tab. Yeah, okay, it's this. So yeah, we can remove it. It'll break it really quick. So actually, let me just move it. Nah, I'm gonna remove it. And if I do Gatsby develop, that should. And so if this works really quick, we'll just simply push our changes and watch how they automatically get propagated to the S3 bucket. But yeah, if we want to use a unit test as action, what do I need to also, if I want to use unit tests in actions, what do I need to also add? So two things. If you want to use unit tests, what you'll need to add is in the GitHub workflows, you will simply need to add a step that runs your tests. So right here, we're checking stuff out, and we're simply running the build here. You can do two options. You can have your test steps be separate, or right here, like on line like 21, I run npm CI, and then before I run npm run build, I would run like an npm test, maybe like an npm lint, if we wanted to do that. But that is how you would resolve, or you would add that into your build. There's a couple different ways you can do it though. Again, you can add it as different steps if you want them to be completely separate. But yeah, you just need to go ahead and add it in as a run item. All the run items are the things that actually get executed. And so now if we go to localhost, if we go back here to our local one, it's still running, and we refresh, the little images are still there. They are still there. But that's probably, they're still there. I didn't do it. Yeah, it's one. This is weird. Localhost. Gatsby's super weird because like all the code isn't just right here on my computer. The code is actually getting pulled from a different place. Home tag author help. I should be able to change like the top name real quick. Come on, you can do this. Oh, let me go to static. Oh, it's probably a static images, isn't it? Yeah, logo to SVG icons, Vim, redirects. Let me Vim _ headers. Okay, I can remove it from here. And I'm also going to remove the logo, just to see that Gatsby developed locally might have broken the site. It's possible. It's all still there. It's really odd. It's super odd that this stuff is still here. I just deleted a bunch of stuff, but that might be because it already developed. No, the development build is not optimized to create a production build. Use the Gatsby build. Let me try it one more time, and then we'll figure out how to change the site later. But we can see. It's really weird. I just want to delete something so you can see it. I've never seen a site where it's so hard to delete something. This seems super odd to me. I just published with a ghost. This should be something that is here. It's got to be here. grep-r. This has got to be here. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. Oh, I'm trying to control C this. It's not letting me out. What's going on right now? All we're trying to do is I want to show you that the pipeline works, but I need to be able to I want to make a change to the site, but because of the way Gatsby works, it's pulling data from a lot of other places. Oh my gosh. And so in doing that, it's a little harder than because of the way React works as well. It's a little harder to just delete what we need. Publish with Ghost. I don't know where this is. What's John Wonton? What's up again? Thank you so much for the gifted sub, the 10 gifted subs. Thank you. I really do appreciate. Oh man, everyone, this has been the kindest week ever out of anyone. But I'm trying to. All I want to do is change what we just. I just want to change something on the site. Gatsby is Maze. Yeah, I've used Jekyll. Jekyll's cool. Ruby's base. I've used Jekyll. I use Hugo. But yeah, I just want to make a change. That's all I want to do. There's got to be a super simple way. What's renovate? Bear with me. Bear. We're so close. The pipeline works. The pipeline works. I just don't know Gatsby. Let me just page it. I mean, I can change the whole component, but like, is there a footer component? Now, oh, here we go. Layout.js, navigation, JS. Can I like site nav items? Okay. There's just no like simple data that is it's just also dynamic. The Vim oh my gosh. Hold on. We're gonna discover one thing. What's in the utils? Fragment Vim site config. This feels like something. Here we go. Site URL. Short title, background color. The background color is gonna be 1481 BA, and the theme color is gonna be 00000. I think that's enough. Was it one more? 1, 2, 3. All right, sure. All right, let's try this. And if this doesn't work, then oh well, but we'll still push it and you'll see the build still happen. It'll still push the code. You've already seen that happen, but I wanted you to see a change on the front end. Where are we at? Gatsby, develop. And I'm gonna open this one up in Firefox, to be honest, since I haven't done anything there. Yeah, Hugo's Go Base. It's nice. It's pretty easy. Localhost 8,000. Let's go. Come on. That didn't do it. This is so weird. But I wonder if it has to do with the develop and not the. I'm gonna push this. I'm actually gonna push it and see if I broke the whole website, because this seems wrong. But git add, git commit, randomly tried to break the site. Okay, and I'm gonna get push. So I'm gonna let that build. And it's going to actually push to the bucket. I'm also gonna build this locally, because I wonder if there's something wrong with the Gatsby develop, or something I'm not doing right with the Gatsby develop. Because I feel like we had to have broken something. Ooh. Yeah, did I break it? Gatsby. Oh, it's not run build, it's just Gatsby build. All right, maybe it'll look a little bit differently. So our pipeline goes from our computer. It'll build on the development branch. So it's building on the development branch now. Let's see. Where our actions, it should be building right now. Randomly tried to break the site. This is building now. This is our CI workflow. It is trying to, you know, I'm not running any tests right now, but it's going through the process of running through the tools and the steps that I gave it. to try to integrate our code into the rest of the code base, or to get it in a space that is achievable. So it actually failed to build, which is good. I'm actually glad it failed to build because I made so many changes that, like, I wonder what failed. Gatsby build, failed at Gatsby build. Success, warning, Gatsby initialized, config without a title and a feed. This is great. All right, so we may have been doing all the right things all along, but just tricked ourselves. But this built using a starter that uses MD locally. Yeah, I can do that too. I can definitely do that too. But why? See, this is weird. But it worked. It works locally though. So what if I do npm run build like it did? Very frustrating. But the good thing is, you got to see a failure just now, which is nice. We made some changes and it went through. It says entering directory mode website could build, no modules website could build is where it received the error. So you can see this make leaving directory. It couldn't do the build for some reason. We could use this. We could use this to start troubleshooting why the build failed. But the good thing is that instead of us, like maybe normally without a process like this, I might have to do this build manually. Like I might build it locally and see how it worked on my computer. So yeah, I kind of like it allowed me to build this thing. I might go push this code up and it might break everything, but let's check the build that it built locally. Let's check it out. Let's see what, like, does it work or not? And so because it generates a static site, I can actually click on it and hopefully see it. So inside of public, there's an index.js in here somewhere that I could simply click on, or index.html. Oh, okay. And it removed the icons. So the icons failed, which is nice. Because I deleted the icons folder. But this is still here, but I did remove the icons folder and it's there. I'm not sure why this failed, to be honest with you. Super weird. I'm gonna rerun it and see what happens. And let me see if it's running the same thing that I ran. But if not, we're 15 minutes over. We'll stop here. Like I said at the beginning, I was like, this one felt like a lot. I definitely underestimated what this would be, and that's why we only stuck with one of the repos. Yeah, Gatsby build just runs a Gatsby build. That should have worked just fine. But what I really want you to get out of today, it's not that this didn't work, because it did. It actually did work. We just don't know how to. We don't know how to use Gatsby, but our developers should be able to come in. They should be able to clone this repo. And so actually, if you want to, if you're someone who knows Gatsby, please clone this. Submit a pull request with the things that work. Either submit it against master, and we can actually see it happen. I'll approve those PRs, and the site will update. I actually encourage all of you, like, maybe if you're working on web development or something, try to put in a PR for this Gatsby site. The Gatsby site by default in master branch works just fine. But the one in the development branch is the one that'll get pushed to dev.pipelines.academy. Feel free. I will check it out, see if you can make some changes to it. Yeah, make a PR right now. Yes, please make a PR against, I should probably revert to that PR, but make a PR against master. Either one will actually deploy. So yeah, make a PR against master, because master works. And I'll accept it, and we'll get to see the update if you think you have something that will allow us to push. But yeah, I wish that was smoother. Not a big deal. I think I said at the beginning that I was going to try, for this one in particular, for the implementation of these things, I was going to try not to go through beforehand and scriptify it out and just kind of work through, and just run this and then run this, just because I think there's a lot of value in fumbling through some of this stuff. Not all of it's valuable, but some of it is. And maybe I'll start half doing it just so we can get through it in a reasonable amount of time. But let me know when that PR is up. But let's see, development 4 minutes ago. Whoa, let's see what the security issue is really quick. Secret policy, define how you use it, that's fine. Code scanning results. working on Ghost blog a couple weeks ago. Dope. Yeah, I mean, Ghost is cool. I've used it before when it was not in Gatsby, when I was just running it by itself. Figured Gatsby would be easier to use than that. It's interesting because we're actually working on converting. We're actually exploring converting our main site at work into Gatsby, and we've been diving into it, and it's been a little hectic, but it's mostly because we don't know, like I don't yet know the full extent of Gatsby's kind of workflow. It's pretty simple when you I don't know, I watched a video of it, and the guy's example, I ran through the same thing and it worked fine, but I don't know, this seems pretty tough actually. Okay, but that's it. Well, actually, I'm gonna give you. I'll let you put it in. I just don't want to keep everyone for too long because it's already 20 minutes over on your Saturday. I want you to enjoy your Saturday. I want you to be able to get out of here and enjoy the nice sunny, beautiful day. But while we're waiting, let's do a tangible takeaway for today. What are the tangible takeaways for the day? 1, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. Does it really need to be separated? No, but delivery does not mean the same thing as deployment. But continuously integrating your code, the goal is to automatically have the confidence that your code will work when you push it around, when you incorporate it into the rest of your code base. The goal is that the process of doing these deployments is automated, so that there's no manual intervention, so that you don't have to figure out what to do. It's also so that you get some documentation out of it. These YAMLs that we looked at, they are in fact documentation. You can, once you get comfortable with it, you can absolutely head over to one. And you can look at it and understand what it takes to build your software. So, and we've done this before. There's been times when your CI tool is down. There's been times when Circle CI is down, times when Travis CI was down, that we needed to do a deployment. And what we did was we went into here and we broke it back down. We're like, all right, cool. Well, we know that we will look through here to see the steps that needed to happen, and you built it manually. It's like it's documentation for your build. And it stays up to date. It has to stay up to date with your application, or else you won't be able to build it properly. And we learned that there are a couple different tools you can use for this. We tried out a brand new one today. But we basically learned that this is really just a script runner for the things that need to be done to get your code to where it needs to go. And that it gives you a quick feedback loop. You can set up different gates for it to fail at, or to give you feedback at, so you can determine whether or not this code is good to go out. And generally the process is commit, test, build, deploy is generally the workflow for that. So I encourage you to take a project that you're working on and see if you can get it to build, at least. Maybe not deploy to a server, but maybe if you just maybe you don't have any tests, maybe try to Google and implement a single test. But yeah, and to get it to go where you want it to go. But that's it. Yeah, definitely try it out. It really helps to try to do this with an app that you know about, that you kind of already understand. It helps it move, helps it mentally, for me at least. It was super helpful for me to kind of understand that. But yeah, try to submit a PR. I'm absolutely, yes, do not forget to catch the SpaceX launch. I'm absolutely gonna be checking that out. I definitely want to yeah, I'm gonna try to get in a bike ride before that, because I 100% gonna have like, it's so nice outside, super nice. Terminal actions are intimidating. Yes, they are. At first they are. They get less intimidating over time. Just keep looking at it. Just keep looking at it. Keep trying them out. But just keep trying. I know there's a lot. And again, this is the intermediate course. And again, this is also a test run. I will use today again to kind of try to adjust for the following weeks. I do think this is one of the bigger ones. So next week we have the Notion open up ever. Actually, it's not even in Notion. It is in GitHub, Mastermind, pipelines. Next week, we're going to try to dive down into microservices and kind of breaking this up into smaller services. And we've already started that process. So we'll probably do some more CI/CD next week, as well as maybe we'll try to, because they'll all be in their own repositories now, maybe we'll try to get some of this. We'll be like, once we get one set up, we should be able to kind of copy it in between and modify it. And we'll try to shore all this up and to kind of get some stuff building so that we can contribute to each of our services individually. yeah, then we'll move on from there. We'll see what we can get done. But hopefully we'll have a robust infrastructure. I'm going to try to introduce another service next week. We might replace the Rocket Chat with something else, just because the Rocket Chat is a Docker container, and we can just use the latest Docker container for that. We don't really need to build it. It's not something that we're going to be modifying manually. So we might swap that out for a different service. But that's it. That's it for today. Thanks for sticking with me. Thank you guys for the great week of support. I genuinely, truly appreciate it. I'm going to be using that to do some more giveaways. I'm going to be using that to get some work with Amazon. I'm still trying to work with Amazon to get some credits out here, just so you know, we can spin up some crazy things. I want to spin up some sites that are long lived, but we do have, again, this dev.pipelines.academy is the site that we have. But thank you again for another great week. Lots of support. Next week, we do have 1 week. I don't know if you're not in the Decoded course. 1 week from now, we will be starting. Well, 1 week and 2 days, we'll be starting 100 days of code. I actually encourage anyone who's working on infrastructure and different stuff, who maybe not is just doing software, to participate in this as well, to just dive into some of this stuff for an hour a day. We're going to be doing 100 days of code. More information will be coming out about that, but for 100 days, we'll be on trying to, you know, just pick up a craft. I'm going to be learning Rust during that 100 days, so should be pretty fun. But that's it. You know, we're halfway done. We're halfway done with this, and then we'll obviously be doing more and more after this, but we're halfway done with this journey. So just 4 more weeks and you'll be pros. We'll all be pros, but no, hopefully we'll get to the end and we'll be a lot better off than we were when we started. But that's it. Everyone, go enjoy your Saturday. Who are we rating today? I need to get some food real bad. Push that TV. Oh, I mean, I feel like we should go to NASA, but let's rate someone. Let's find someone. Let's go to Science and Tech. Let's see what we got here. A lot of space stuff. I like. The chickens are always out. All day Eagle Cam. Exciting, but not for us today, I don't think. Let's go with there's a lot different variety of streams on the weekend than there are every other day. Coding up software engineering project 24 hours. That's in German. These are in Russian. I would prefer to go somewhere where, you know, I mean, although we all know these languages, today we learned Portuguese. I think we learned a little bit of Russian as well. I'm trying to find something relatively everyone's always doing game dev. People are always doing game dev. Yeah, let's head over to one of the NASA streams. Let's go to the actual NASA stream, which is not in this. Is it in Science and Tech? Or yeah, I like your big energy. Appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. Who is EJSA is covering launch? I don't know who that is, but let's do that. I guess is that a streamer? EJ. Oh, all right. I should have known that. Oh yeah, I've seen this channel. Okay, yeah, let's head over there. SpaceX launch. It's gonna be exciting. I'm pretty excited about it. I was actually really glad. It sounds bad, but I was glad when they postponed it because I was in a meeting, and I couldn't check it out. So let's raid EJ_SA. All right, everyone. Great week. Relax a little bit. We'll be back on Monday with Horizons. I think we're talking about actually I have no idea what we're talking about, but we'll be talking about some more AWS stuff on Monday. And I think we'll be diving into algorithms next week on Decoded. So see you there. Have a great weekend. Peace.